Like paint a picture for the country of
so
what.
by 10th grade year, I got introduced to my first AA meeting. And I was like, what a crock of shit.
Why did you go to AA in 10th grade?
10th grade, I came home from a party. I was smoking weed in my room out of this little homemade bong. And I was blackout wasted. And I left the weed in the bong in the center of my room. And at some point in time, I don't know how, my mom walked downstairs and I was peeing in the corner of my dining room. One night, I go to do what I always do. They're not ready yet. So I'm spinning the block and they call me up. And they're like, you're all good? I was like, yeah, I'm all good. Let's fucking ride. So then go to pick them up. They have all their shit. They get in the car. They pack the trunk. I fucking jump in my fucking passenger seat. I go to drive and a car starts following me. And they're freaking out on me. They're like, yo, what the fuck? I thought you said we were good. I was like, you told me to spin the fucking block. Like, what the fuck is this? Now in my head, because I know what's going on in their lives, I've been around enough to like be like, yo, I hope this is a fucking cop. So I'm flying. And they have this bag. And I'm like, oh my fucking God, here we go. So now I get brought into the bottom of CI. And I'm like, yo, it is what it is. In my head, I'm like, I'm going to spend the rest of my life in prison. This is where my actions have got me. It is what it is. Like, I have a choice now. Either thug it out or be a bitch. Like, that's what I got. So I'm going to choose to thug it out. Weighing 106 pounds. He drops me off up there. And I go in. And these people that are up there, they don't take people off the street. It's not a common thing. But, like, I was calling them around the clock, telling them, like, yo, I'm going to die, I need help. Going to die, I need help. Going to die, I need help. Like, what do I got to do?
And meanwhile, you're not sure that you even want to do it.
Yeah.
You're just like, I got to do something.
Yeah.
Right. Him and I recorded.
I'm a constant overshare. So
well, good. That's perfect.
I should be pretty good.
Here, come closer. Make yourself comfortable. All right. So I've got. What do we call you? I don't know you well enough to give you a nickname. Do you have any good nicknames?
My buddy, the guys in my home group call me Hairy Tongue.
Hairy Tongue. Will, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Doing well. My tongue's not so hairy anymore. We put the crack pipe down. We're doing well.
I never heard hair on the tongue from the crack pipe. I need you to hold the mic closer. I'll lose my fucking mind.
This is an awkward position for me.
You're very comfortable
with the hairy tongue story.
Yes, please.
Because that's a good one. So at a point in time, I was in the mix of drug addiction, smoking crack nonstop. And I was up for X amount of days. And one of my buddies is a doctor. And at the time, he came by my apartment. I had the apartment and all the things. This is just after a relapse took place. And I was really in the heat of addiction, bad. And still had all the things, though. So my buddy's at my house. I pour out a bunch of Coke. We're sniffing this Coke. And he's talking to me. And I just got a pair of shorts on, basketball shorts on. And he's looking at my legs. And he's like, what are all those marks on your legs? And I'm like, oh, it's pedal bite from riding bikes back in the day. And he's like, all staring at it. And I'm like, oh, this fucking kid's just blown out. Diagnosing me. And he's like, yo, why don't you go down tomorrow and see my girl? And I'm like, what? For what? He's like, she's a physician's assistant at this place. You go there, she'll get you in. You can go get your legs checked out, blah, blah, blah.
Wait, what exactly was wrong with your legs?
So I'm unaware what the issue was with my legs at this point in time. But he's telling me to just go get it checked out. Now I'm in my head going full schizo, like, yo, something fucked up. So the next day I drive over and I'm still up all night. Now I'm smoking crack again. And I drive out because I told him I would. And he's on my case. And I'm like a functioning crackhead at this point. So I'm like, let me go check on my health because that matters right now. And I drive out to this, whatever it is, First Health or whatever the hell those little
urgent care.
Thank you. And I go in, she backdoors me in. I got no insurance. She sits me down. She looks at my legs. She comes back in the room and she's like, this could be pretty serious. And I'm like, what's going on? She's like, let me do a couple more things. And she looks at my ears. She looks at my tongue. She walks out of the room and I'm just sitting there kicking my feet like a little kid. Like, what the fuck is going on? And she comes back in the room again. And she's like, listen, I'm here to tell you worst case scenarios, but there's a very good chance that you have AIDS right now. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And she's like, you got this marked on your legs, which are a sign of
Like
something with your
bruises
blood.
or something?
They were just like little red marks is all they were. And we thought it was chlamydia at first. And now this white substance over your tongue looks like it could be conducive to having AIDS. And
Thrush?
Something. And I couldn't even tell you. I went into full panic.
Sure.
In my head, I'm now, Jenny from Forrest Gump. Like, oh shit, I got AIDS. It's over. And I leave there and I'm in a panic. And my girlfriend's calling me and my mom's calling me and my boss is calling me and my buddy's calling me and the dealer's calling me. And it's just nonstop phone ringing, phone ringing, phone ringing. My mom's calling me multiple times because I always answer the phone. My girlfriend's calling me multiple times because I always answer the phone. Eventually, I answer to my mom, and I'm like, Mom, leave me the fuck alone. I just found out I have AIDS. And I hang up the phone.
Oh,
and
my
right
God.
then, my girlfriend calls me.
Did your
I
mom
get a
call your
text.
girlfriend?
My girlfriend texts me, and she's like, Will, what's going on? Your mom just told me you got AIDS. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck? And I go to call her. Bang, I slam into the back of this guy. Smash into this dude. I got no license. I'm driving a car that's not registered to me. The whole nine. It's owned by my boss. A whole shit show of events. So this guy gets out of the car, looks like an illegal immigrant. I'm like, perfect guy to hit. And turns out he owns a painting company, blah, blah, blah. He's like, oh, the damage. And I'm trying to describe to this guy, yo, I just got diagnosed with AIDS.
Did you tell him?
I literally just spilled all the guts on this guy because I'm like, let me get the fuck out of this situation. Don't call the cops. That's all I care about. Don't call the cops. I got tons of drugs in the car. And I'm like, I just got diagnosed with AIDS. I'll pay for the damages. Don't get the cops involved. I got to go license. I got no this. I got no that.
How old were you?
At the time, I'm probably 28 years old. And the guy's like, listen, something's going on. He's like, I just need cash. I'm like, how much cash? He's like, 3,000. I'm like, perfect. Follow me to my place. I'll give you 3,000 cash. I give him my address. He's on my fucking ass the whole drive out. And we drive whatever amount of exits. I get back to my house. I run inside. My girlfriend's still blowing me up. I fucking run inside. I give him cash. And he takes off. Right then, my girlfriend pulls up and she's fucking screaming, da-da-da. We get into the screaming match. I'm living at a Fairfield complex. There is a ton of people all over the place. Lights are turning on, and I'm, deranged lunatic. Known by the neighborhood for being a deranged lunatic at this point in time. I was that deep into addiction. And I'm like, you don't get it. If I gave you AIDS, I'm going to fucking kill myself. And I'm just looking at these people looking at me. And I'm like losing my fucking mind. And whatever, time goes by. I remember we went.
Wait, did you give the cash to the
I gave
illegal
the
immigrant
cash
guy?
to the dude, and he just took off.
Did you think it was a decent deal?
$3,000 for like a bumper scratch? No, I honestly wrecked the back of his
Okay,
truck.
you did.
I'm calling it a bumper scratch,
but you did wreck
yeah,
the back. Okay,
yeah.
So that seemed reasonable.
Yeah.
He moved it along. Your girlfriend comes home. You get into this crazy fight
Yep.
with her, where you're telling the neighborhood that you have AIDS,
Yep.
and that if she gets it, you'll kill yourself.
basically exactly.
But they know you're all fucked up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone knows I'm insane, including the girl. But in my head, I'm the only guy that's making sense on the planet. I'm that fucked up. Like no one else understands but me.
Well, keep going. I want
So-
to what happens.
so
and who
I-
was the first guy that died, that looked at your legs? Who was that guy?
A friend of mine from growing up that is a foot doctor, technically, but one of the smartest people I know.
So a friend of yours who's a podiatrist that you were just hanging out with sees your legs,
Yes.
and he's concerned.
Yep.
And nobody's given you an actual AIDS diagnosis.
Nope. At this point. But in my head,
Yes.
I got AIDS.
I just wanna
And
first-
it's terminal, and I'm on my way out.
Before you say anything else, I want to commend you because I don't think anyone's ever come in this hot on the show. So I want to give you a
Let it all
huge
go.
listen. I thank you. This is great. Keep going, please. This is the best intro we've ever had. I think. So congratulations.
Where was I?
Not to gas you up, but it's a good intro.
Yeah, we really just dove right into the thick of it. So there I am that night. I won't find out for 2 weeks on the blood work. But as I said, in my head, it's 100% I got AIDS. And now I'm like playing this mental game with my girl, like who gave it to who? And
Now your girlfriend's
it's going
cheating
every
on
which
you.
way. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I've never had a test in my life, so I'm panicking like, oh my God, I've never had an AIDS test. So how long have I been out here as a
Here, scooch up a little more.
serial killer, basically?
Right, because who knows how many helpless women
victims
you've
there have
infected.
been.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
so I'm panicking, and I got a good heart underneath this crazy soul, and I'm in sheer panic. So it's going to be 2 weeks till I hear. In between that span of time, we had like a trip planned. So we're on like this hiking trip. And the whole way through, I'm like dragging this in my head. So eventually I get a call back from the doctor. And she's like, so we're going over all your results. You got to come down, blah, blah, blah. So I come on down and I walk in the room and I'm waiting to hear like, you got 6 months. And I'm sitting there and she comes in and she flips this thing and she's got this stupid smile on her face. And she goes, yeah, it turns out you just got hairy tongue. And that's how the nickname hairy tongue came to be.
What was it? A rapid AIDS test?
No, rapid. I don't know if they have rapid. I think it takes up to 2 weeks.
So they do this.
I'm not too familiar because I don't do doctors.
It was the same woman.
Same woman as before.
Who decided you could have AIDS.
Yep.
Which is probably the worst thing
ever to happen.
Any physician's assistant could ever say to somebody, I think you have AIDS.
Yeah.
We'll find out in 2 weeks.
Basically.
Especially to a crackhead.
Honestly, too, that's the thing is that you're talking to a crackhead. So my brain hears you have AIDS. She probably said, well, let's not rule anything out, but it looks like somewhere along the lines, the word AIDS came out and it took over. It was done. So then through that incident, I then told my whole family I have AIDS. I destroyed the back of some guy's car, got into this tremendous fight with my girlfriend. I'm worrying about the woes of my past and so on and so forth.
And you certainly didn't get sober off of that.
Oh, no. That was long before.
And you grew up in Lake Grove, Long Island?
Lake Grove.
And just Dopey Nation, you need to know, Will grew up with Evan, handsome Evan, and Lenny from the beach, and Jesse from the Clean Team. And I think Will actually is a member of the Clean Team too.
No.
Not true?
No, not true.
That's what everyone said.
No.
Evan said you were a member of the... No? Adjacent?
Nope. I'd rather you call me a crackhead than a Clean Team member.
I think the two might...
All love to
big ups to the Clean Team.
All love to all of them.
Not
here to throw no bad names or nothing.
What was growing up in Lake Grove in this crew of potential opiate addicts and ne'er-do-wells like?
Well, let me start from scratch. Originally, I'm from Pennsylvania. I lived in Pennsylvania for a bunch of years. I moved into...
Where?
Scott Run, which is a small town in the Poconos.
Okay.
I could basically see Camelback Mountain from my back window.
Okay.
My father built a beautiful home out there, worked for the Long Island Railroad, worked his ass off, moved me, my mother, my siblings out there, and they're originally from Elmont and Coral Place and all that. All useless information.
It's not useless.
I came to Lake Grove when I was in 6th grade, and I felt like Smalls from...
It was Sandlot.
Sandlot.
Okay.
That's what I felt like. I came into town, brand new kid. I now had a neighborhood around me. I'm from the middle of the woods at this point.
So you're 12 when you get to Suffolk County?
12 when I got to Lake Grove, Suffolk County.
And do you meet any of those guys right away?
Evan was on my bus. I didn't meet him that first year. He's a year younger than I am. 7th grade year is the first time that I ever probably had any sort of contact with Evan. But... you know, I'm hanging out with my grade. He's hanging out with his grade. And, you know, my first couple years there, I never had a vision ever of me falling into drugs and alcohol.
What were you like when you were a kid?
Very happy-go-lucky. I was into absolutely everything you could name, skateboarding, BMXing, any sport you got, you know, all sorts of crazy shit. I was always getting into some sort of trouble, like all good-hearted stuff.
But never anything like crazy. Were you, and Andre too?
Yeah. Well, no, Andre's from the other side of the other school district in Ronkonkoma. He's Connecticut.
So you didn't grow up with him?
No. Nope.
And when's the first time you got high or you drank?
First time I ever drank, I got hit by, this is how it happened. I was riding a bike with a couple of my buddies, and it was me, my buddy Alex, a little bit taller than me, and my buddy James, who's like this giant kid from our area. And somebody threw an egg at us. An egg hit me and like, you know, the face hit somebody and hit the other guy in like the stomach. And we go back to my house and my mom's like, who the fuck egged you? And my mom's like, down for the team. And we're like, we have no idea. We think it was the kid next door. And
was your mom from here or Pennsylvania?
My mom's from Elmont, Queens.
Okay, so
Queens.
she doesn't fuck around.
Yeah. My mom's with the shits. And she was like, oh, I'm going to go fucking say something. And we're like, don't say anything. And we're in the backyard and we had like this little like fucking pool toy thing that you could drive around remotely. And we're driving that thing around and this kid comes in my backyard and he's like, I just want to apologize. And I was like, dude, I never wanted this to happen.
Your mom went after
he was
him.
like a cool neighbor, way older than me. You know, he's like a high school senior at this point, and I'm in like 7th grade. And I'm like, I never wanted this situation to take place. It's all good. We found it funny. And he's like, cool, man, it's all good. I'll talk to you later. And he leaves. And later that night, I'm playing basketball in front of my house. And he's having a party. He's always throwing these bangers. And I'm just like this little naive kid. And he's like, yo, kid, come over here. So I walk over and he's just like, yo, you ever have a beer before? And I'm like, no. And he passes me like a Mike's Hard Lemonade or some shit. And I'm just holding this thing. And I'm like, this thing smells fucking disgusting. And this girl flashes me. And then I drink it. And I was like, this is the coolest shit that ever could have taken place.
Some high school girl flashes you.
They were blackout wasted.
Wow.
Yep.
So you
took one sip and I walked away. That was it. I was like,
it's everything you could have imagined, like the wrong thing being.
Yep. I was like,
you're
oh, man,
accepted
growing up is going to be the coolest shit ever.
Okay. So then what?
So my next interaction with alcohol was that year on, because that was like the summer coming into 7th grade probably. That year on New Year's, my buddy had his whole family throw these big bashes, you know, tons of older kids. And I had the biggest crush on his older sister on the planet. She's like the most beautiful girl I'll ever see in my life. Never stand a chance with her. If you're out there, though.
She probably listens. What's her name?
So I go to this party, and the whole intent of it was like, yo, they'll let us drink there. And in my head, that was my whole intent. I can't speak for the other two, you know.
But you hadn't drunk since you had that Mike's Hard Lemonade.
Which was like a sip.
And it was like this potential promise
Beautiful
of
moment.
a great life.
Yep, exactly. So I go to that party, and his uncle comes up to us. Here's a couple Smirnoff Ices. Don't tell anybody. His mom. Here's a couple Smirnoff Ices. Don't tell anybody. His dad. Here's a shot. Don't tell anybody. Sister. Here's some drinks. Don't tell anybody. And I'm a little fucked up. We're like singing karaoke, doing our thing, hanging out, having a good time, loose, doing whatever. And then my buddy ended up crapping his pants. And I remember it just being like, holy shit, dude, look at this guy. And I was like, man, I'm glad that's not me. Following that year up, I ended up coming back to that same party the next year, ended up getting blacked out there. Their parents would take us on the boat. I'd always go on the boat with them. We'd be taking shots, doing whatever. Then eventually down the line, my mom ended up going through a relapse.
You didn't say that she had been sober.
Yeah, because at that point in my life, that was nothing. There was no AA meeting. There was just never alcohol in my house. What had happened was it was like my 9th grade year, and drinking and like smoking weed were in play in my life. And I'm sitting there one night with a bunch of my buddies, and we're like, we're going to go play basketball up at the school. And it's at like, whatever, 1 o'clock in the morning or something. And I'm like, my mom's just a cool mom. She lets us leave at any time. And my buddy's like, yo, your mom's wasted. And I'm like, no, she's drinking fake champagne. You know those like fake champagne bottles people get by for, my family did for New Year's. And I'm like, she's drinking fake champagne. He's like, no, dude, she's fucking hammered right now. And I ended up realizing like, holy shit, my mom's wasted. But it was like nothing. I was like, finally, like my family's cool like those other families.
Had she been sober for a long time?
Unknown to me at that time, my mom was sober for like well over, you know, probably 15 years.
Wow.
Years
in program?
She was in a program. Then when we moved to Pennsylvania, she was no longer in a program. So my parents met in an AA meeting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are they still together?
They get along fantastic, better than I've ever seen them get along in my whole entire life. They kind of just got back together, not together like that, but like friendship-wise within the past 3 years.
But so were they together when you were living in
They were somewhat. They were always fighting. They got, you know, the words of a divorce came out when I was like 8 years old.
Right.
I was outside playing basketball, and my dad came home, and like my dad was never home, so I'm like, oh, sick. We're going to play some basketball today. And he came up, and I remember I passed him the basketball, and he passed me it back, and he's like, your mom doesn't want me here anymore. We got to get a divorce because I cheated on her. And he took off, and I was just like,
whoa.
This basketball. Like, dude, you're going to take a jump shot at what? Like,
it's a lot. It's a lot to drop on an 8-year-old kid.
I couldn't even unpack it in my little brain. You know what I mean? So I couldn't even unpack it.
When your mom is basically relapsing, is she sober now?
My mom is sober now.
Amazing.
Yep. Yeah, she's back 12 years.
Amazing. It's like we hear about people like that, and I never knew about it, but now I'm hearing more and more people who like got 10 years, went out, and now have 10 years back. Yeah. Or like Doug. We hear about these people, and I, you know, have 18 months.
Yeah.
And I hope this doesn't hurt your recovery at all. Knock on
bless.
wood. I have 10 years and we think that like we're good today. You know what I mean? And we are good today. But when somebody like has a bunch of time and then they go out, it's terrifying to hear.
Yeah.
Like your mom having 15 years. So, I mean, what happened to her? Like, how did she get back into it? But I guess we don't need to worry about that. The real question is, how did it affect you when her relapse hit? Because that's probably when you came of age drinking.
That's when drinking even became something that was on like my, frontal lobe. When it first took place, I was like, oh, this is awesome. Like my mom will be like the other parents now. Because I would see the other parents party. They'd get along together. My family was always just home. I'd see other friends from the neighborhood and their parents at a backyard party in the summertime, drinking some Heinekens. We'd be in the pool. And I was like, oh, finally, like my parents will come hang out maybe. And, shortly thereafter that, I saw what alcoholism is.
Explain.
The progression of the disease. Like my mom went from drinking with one of her friends from a mom club and, getting drunk on like a Friday or Saturday night and doing her thing and like the kids are home and whatever, safe, cordial event to just getting absolutely blackout wasted at 11 o'clock in the morning. Not picking up people from school, not doing the right thing, driving drunk, crazy fights. Me and her would just completely smash heads.
And your dad wasn't around.
My dad was not around.
She's wasted. You're starting high school.
Yep.
And you're like, I like getting fucked up.
Yeah.
And my mom is totally fucked up.
Yep.
And considering your hairy tongue crackhead story, I imagine you descend pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah.
So what's it look like?
So in the very beginning for me, it was those couple of quick, quirky drinking stories. Then, ninth grade, that lasted for a little bit of time of the, those little fun drinking moments. Then by 10th grade, I could not drink for the life of me successfully. I would get blackout wasted, do some dumb shit, just blackouts after blackout, throwing up, blackout. I could never drink successfully for the life of me.
And you were not a member of this clean team.
No.
But 10th grade was the year of the clean team.
I
right?
was 1 year older than them. The clean team probably formed circa 2010.
So what was like, I mean, I think Lenny and Jesse would tell stories, or first Evan would tell stories about being attacked by the clean team.
Yeah.
And then Jesse and Lenny told stories about what it was to be on the clean team. But you being in the world of it, what was partying in Lake Grove and being a high school kid like?
The clean team was like their version of what the friends I hung out with in my grade were without that label on us. We didn't go by a name. We weren't a gang. We didn't do none of that. But I hung out with some kids that like were tightly knit with a lot of their guys. There was a bunch of neighborhood kids when I was growing up, and anybody hung out with anybody. Funny story about Evan, 10th grade or 11th. I think I was in 10th grade. One of Evan's friends had hit me up and asked me for 2 ounces of weed. And like Evan and all his buddies threw down on this. And I hung out with like this badass group of dudes back then. I was just like a hanger on, but they were like some badass kids. And I told them like, yo, I got these kids we could rob, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, but I don't want to do it like cold blooded. I want to get them like some really shitty weed. And then we'll just sell them that for really high grade weed. So that's what we did, and Evan and all his friends blowing us up nonstop. Like, yo, dude, what the fuck is this garbage? Because we gave him like the worst weed we could possibly buy for like $100 for 2 ounces, and they gave us like $600 or whatever it was. So Evan, when you hear this, I owe you a financial amends, bud.
Did you ever? I'm sure he brought it up at some point.
I brought it up to him, I believe.
And so
Evan's such a good guy, man. That he's just such a good guy. So he probably remembered that long before, and he was like, I don't want this guy to feel bad about it.
Who knows? Evan's just like Evan is the best.
He is.
Let's leave it at that.
He is.
But all of us are the same.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He is as good as you can get, but we all have my favorite
That
Evan.
second side, yeah.
No, but my favorite Evan is like pessimistic Evan,
Yeah.
self-doubting Evan, grouchy Evan, take my fucking inventory Evan.
Yeah.
Like I like the most human part of Evan, not Saint Handsome.
I
Evan.
only get to really see the fucking spiritual guru Evan, at least through my lenses.
He knows
'Cause I
that
look at him now and I'm like, what a great fucking guy. He got his shit together.
Well, I'm such a curmudgeon.
While I was dragging through the trenches for years and years and years.
Well, let's get back to the trenches, and I'll tell you. I think I am a bad influence on Evan. Basically, I think he feels like he can talk shit because I talk so much shit, and I'm old.
Yeah.
And he's like, if this old guy had more time than me talk shit, I can talk shit.
Yeah.
So what are the badasses that you're hanging out with? Like paint a picture for the country of
so
what.
by 10th grade year, I got introduced to my first AA meeting. And I was like, what a crock of shit.
Why did you go to AA in 10th grade?
10th grade, I came home from a party. I was smoking weed in my room out of this little homemade bong. And I was blackout wasted. And I left the weed in the bong in the center of my room. And at some point in time, I don't know how, my mom walked downstairs and I was peeing in the corner of my dining room. And then I woke up the next morning on the dining room table. And my mom had thrown everything out from the room. Yeah, she freaked out, made a big deal about it, rightfully so, and told me what had happened, which I thought was hysterically comical. You know, I can't wait to tell my buddies about this tomorrow in science class. And she then threw out the bong and the weed that was in my room. So later that night, when I was working on my hangover, I was like, oh, a nice bowl would work. And I realized that the bong and the weed were gone. And I was like, yo, what the fuck? So I go outside to the garbage and I found the bong and the weed and I took it back out of the garbage, smoked it. My mom came in my room, found out that I just took this out of the garbage and smoked it, and was like, there's something wrong here. And I believe, if I remember correctly, she tried to honestly sit me down and be like, that's not normal behavior. Like smoking weed in high school, that's a normal thing. Kids do that. You needing to pull that out of the garbage, which is outside wrapped up with all the other whatever the fuck waste we had, pull that out, smoke it to feel okay is not a normal thing. But in my head, I'm like, you should have thrown it out then, bitch.
Well, I also think like to be a kid with weed, you know, money isn't that easy to come by when you're a kid.
Yeah.
And to lose weed is like
major loss.
It's a major loss. But was your mom in relapse when she told you?
She was in relapse at that point, but like back and forth. In the very beginning, I think that she thought she could get it back.
Well,
this is many years ago, so it's hard to like recount on that.
Of course.
But I don't think that she was in a program just yet. I do know that my ass was at like a Sunday morning Cleary back when they met at the Cleary school meeting, local meeting by us. And I remember looking in that meeting and just being like, yo, I'm never doing this shit. This is like the land of the deadbeats. Sorry that you guys got to come here. This ain't for me.
Well, you're 15, 16 years old. There couldn't have been a lot of 15. There are no 15 or 16-year-olds at any
I was by far
to.
so young, and I remember thinking that in my head. Like, I was just a kid having fun. I get you guys took it over, you know? But I remember sitting there, because then it became like, you know, all like the school got involved. Eventually, I got caught selling weed and caught with weed in school, and then I had to go see the drug counselor. Then I was on PINS, which is like the early, you know, whatever that hell that stands up for. But it's like basically school probation for getting caught with weed in school. And then I had to go to these drug classes and almost like an outpatient program.
Were you selling a ton of weed in school?
I was selling a lot of weed back then. As soon as I smoked weed, I was like, oh, I'm selling this shit.
Was anybody getting a decent deal, or were you robbing everybody like poor Handsome
I was
Evan?
selling like everybody else. What had happened for me that made me very profitable in the beginning was there was a school around the block from my house for kids that basically was like a military style school. They had no weed connect whatsoever. I had a bunch of weed on me. I was at a 7-Eleven one day. These kids smelt it, and they're like these thug kids from like Brooklyn. And I'm like scared shit of these kids because I'm just some suburban white boy. And kids like, bro, that ass, like, I just need a weed connect. Like, that shit smells great, da-da-da. Sold them some weed, gave them my phone number. They'd call me and be like, yo, could we get 20 10 bags? And I'm like, yeah, of course. So I'd rack up 20 10 bags and I'd sell it to them.
It's almost like a life-changing moment, isn't it?
Oh, it was
because
fantastic.
all of a sudden you're accepted.
Yeah.
You're beloved. You're the connect.
I had money.
You have this identity that gives you money and status. And these kids that you might have been afraid of any other situation, all of a sudden they're like deferring to you.
Yeah.
I'm sure that was a weird life-changing moment.
Yeah, 100%. It kind of changed my whole view on the world and who I was hanging out with and who I was interested in being with. You know, because now I'm this kid in my head, like I was just like this naive little kid to, oh shit, I'm this kid from this broken home compared to a lot of the kids I'm hanging out with. And there's a lot of fucked up shit going on within those doors. And now I start looking out and relating to these badass kids that are from, a life long of that,
Yeah. And where's your dad at that point?
He was like, a workaholic. My dad was like non-existent in my house. My friends used to joke around with me and tell me like, oh, your dad just doesn't even actually exist. And I'm like, he's here between 2 to 3 in the morning to take a shower and go back to work. That was his life, I think that my dad was a heavy drinker, hit his point in time. And he would always kind of keep that on my brain. Like, you'll eventually hit a consequence that you'll stop. I got faith in you. Like, you're like me. You're a good kid, blah, blah, blah. Just work.
It's almost like I had somebody who was very disappointed that I couldn't use drugs like they could.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't understand why you can't just do drugs.
Yeah.
It's
hang out, have a good time, put it down, go to bed and go to work.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So how does it escalate?
So for me, I went to that first AA meeting. I was told to basically, go to AA and do these things or get the hell out of the house. So I packed my bags. At that moment in time, I decided to just be like this freelance kid. Nowadays, through therapy, I actually joke around with them all the time that I read one book my whole entire life at this point in time, and that was Maniac McGee. And this book's about like this kid that just went off and lived his own life and his own adventure and just went with the wind.
And that was you.
That was what I wanted to do. That was it.
Wild Will as Maniac McGee.
In the woods, I would sleep at buddies' couches. It would get cold out, and I'd go sleep on top of laundromats, let the dry events heat me up.
Because you didn't want to go home.
Didn't want to go home. I just wanted to live my life, how I wanted to live it.
And you had money.
I had some money. At that point in time, it was so back and forth. I didn't even need money. I was so young, I could walk in, steal something, and no one would even bat an eye because they'd be like, why is this poor kid stealing something?
How homeless were you?
I made myself as homeless as I could be at points, but then when the suffering got great enough, I'd call up kids like Lenny, and I'd be like, dude, I need to come crash on you. I wouldn't even call him. I just, on the side of his basement door, he'd open the door and be like, oh, Willie, go crash on the couch. Give me some clothes. I'd go to school the next morning or not go to school. Depends on how fucked up me and Lenny got.
How tight were you with Lenny?
He was, from the day I basically met that kid, he became like my best friend on the planet at that point. I met him and all his friends, and I was like selling weed for a ridiculously high price to one of his buddies, and I just liked Lenny. I was like, I like this guy. Something about this kid.
Oh, he's the best.
Got charisma.
He's got a lot of charisma. But he fell into opiates.
Yeah.
Fairly young.
Yeah.
Did you?
Opiates weren't my thing.
So you just skipped it. Everybody else is on.
They all got into
oxys, heroin.
I
fentanyl.
would. We all hung out at this house. My buddy Mike, who passed away, his dad was a doctor. His mom was a doctor. They came from rags to riches style life, but also lived like this just insane style of life that like is like, forget about it. You can make a whole podcast series about them.
Why? What was their deal?
They owned a very successful business doing medical imaging. They had ridiculous amounts of money. They would just look out for little street rats like me, They ended up taking me into their house, and at this point in time, like Lenny's couch was like the Ritz-Carlton for me. I'd sleep in the woods. I'd sleep behind the school. I'd sleep on a school bus that I would break into.
Why did you refuse to go home?
At that point in time, my mom's alcoholism was absolutely terrible.
What does that look like? You have brothers and sisters?
She would, I have brothers and sisters, and they went through a lot too. But I think that me and my mom, because we're so similar, went through the hardest of the headbutts. There was just a lot of crazy shit. We'd get into these crazy fights. She would stir up. I don't want to sit here and rag on my mom whatsoever. She's an amazing person these days. But exactly what happens to me is exactly what happens with her.
Well, alcoholism is a serious thing.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
We're not, and definitely, I'm not looking to blame your mother or characterize her as anything besides a suffering alcoholic in that moment.
In that moment,
you just happened to be her son, and didn't want to go home, and then had this freedom to live totally lawlessly, Which it's it's the story. It's your experience, and like your brother. How old are your brothers and sisters?
My brother was 4 years older than me. My sister is 2 years older, and then I also have a younger sister who's 9 years younger than me.
Were you the only one who left like that?
Yeah.
And what were they all thinking?
I don't even know. I never had like a close family. You know, that's never been something that was in my life.
It was like every man for himself.
Basically, yeah. We all just existed in the same house, went into the world, and we were who we were in the world amongst our people.
And you were like, I'm just not going back.
Yeah. I thought I was like the only good one, like normal one, I should say, not good. Take that back, retract that.
I bet you thought you were capable.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need them. I figured this out. I can do this on
I
my
thought
own.
that they were taking me down the wrong way. 100%.
What way was that, though?
My mom's alcoholism was terrible. My dad had like no control over anything. That he was just not around at that point in time. You know, I didn't speak to him for years. He was just working, doing whatever he had to do to financially make sure that the family had a roof and, you know, pay the lawyers and pay the whatever. My brother and my sister, I just had zero contact with from like the age of like 12 till basically recently, you know, till we had like a real authentic conversation.
Right.
Of any kind. And we're still just treading into that, you know. I don't come from like these easy, my family's like, just brush that over there. We're glad you're here.
Right. We don't need to talk about it.
Yeah.
We can eat some food. We don't need to talk about it.
I don't even think they could fathom what happened with me versus their lives, because their lives are just their lives, you know?
So you're running wild.
Yep.
Selling weed with a bunch of crazy kids.
Yep.
Living relatively crazily. But when does the serious, like, when does coke come in and when does alcoholism like take a turn? Because at that point you're thinking like, my mom's got it bad, but I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah. And at that some point in time, I decided that alcohol is just not my style of what I want to do.
At what point
my
is that?
10th grade year, it would be. And parties would go on, and I'd be like, I got to find a way to have fun at these parties. And eventually some of my buddies, my buddy Ryan, my buddy Richie, all these kids, we had gotten some mushrooms at a point. Mushrooms were the next step for me after weed, I should say. Then eventually down the line, I remember we were walking on Portion Road, and my buddy Ryan and my buddy Richie were like doing something, conjuring something. And I'm like, whatever you guys got going on, I'm down. And they were like, oh, I don't know if you're down like that. And I was like, no, I'm fucking down. Like, what is it? And they're like, oh, we're picking up some coke. We're going to get $50 worth. And I was like, oh, I got $50, double it. Like, let's do it. And my buddy Richie's father actually picked us up. And this is the first time I remember meeting this man. I'll never forget it because he ended up becoming an extremely important part of my whole story here and my turnaround. He drove us to this house, and I remember it was raining outside, and he's talking to us in the back seat. He's like, looking at me in the mirror. He's like, I don't know what the fuck you doing hanging out with my son. You look like a good kid, and you got a chance to pull your life together, blah, blah, blah. I'm just like,
he saw that in you.
Yeah, that's
meanwhile
what he was saying
his son is this big loser.
His son is going into this house to go buy a bag of cocaine at this point in time. So he comes out and he told his dad he's getting a bag of weed, and he's like, "Listen, let me see the weed." And his dad, unknown to me at this time, is newly sober.
Wow.
Or just at the end of his addiction. And he's like, "So let me see the weed." And he kind of like smiles and he's like, "Will, show him the weed." And I show him a bag of weed. He's like, "So what'd you go inside for?" And Richie's just like, he's like, "I know this house. I know what you're doing here." And he's like, "Get the fuck out of my car." And it's pouring rain out. So we go to get out of the car, and he goes, "Kid, I'll save you a seat." And I remember that statement. And I was like, what the fuck does he mean by that? So I'm like, I know a spot we go hang out. And I used to break into the buses at this middle school by us. And we go to the buses, and we start fucking sniffing coke back there. And then it became an every weekend thing. I'd always find a way to come up with some money.
So was it on the bus?
It was on the bus.
What kind of buses were they?
A school bus.
Wow.
Yellow school bus.
So you find the spot, was that by like Ronkonkoma where they have all those school buses?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. The schoolyard right there.
So you're all getting on the school bus and snorting coke.
Yep.
Drinking, smoking
weed. Yeah, the whole nine. Then we eventually upgraded that to throwing parties on the school buses.
No way.
Yeah. And they'd be little tiny, school bus parties. But we'd invite some people out. They'd be getting fucked up. Some girls, a couple people. Lenny's probably been there a couple times.
On the school bus?
On the school bus.
What did you call the school bus parties?
We didn't even come up. We weren't that creative.
You weren't that creative.
Yeah, we're just coming up with fucking ways to party.
All right.
And where we could do it outside of the window.
And were you selling the coke or were you just sharing the coke?
We were just sharing the coke at that point in time.
All right.
So eventually down the line, we ended up moving in.
The dad, though, the save me a seat guy, if he knew the house, what is he taking you to the house for?
I think that maybe the guy also sold weed. I couldn't answer those questions.
It's great. It's great. It's a good story.
Yeah.
It's a good story.
Yeah.
So then what happens?
So eventually down the line, I was talking about that kid Mike, one of my best friends who passed away, and we all basically ended up moving into that house.
Mike's house.
Yeah, which was like,
How did
I remember
he die?
sleeping on the floor in Holbrook, of this small house. Then his mom bought this other house. Then she had all these extra bedrooms, these beautiful mattresses, $10,000 mattresses. And she'd buy us outfits. And we'd go to the mall and she'd be like, no one's leaving till I buy you a pair of shoes. We'd go out to eat. She'd fucking splurge, tip the waitress $5,000.
Who is
I
she?
felt like, life just worked out.
What's
was this
her
woman,
deal?
Stephanie. She owned a giant medical imaging company. It became #1 in the Northeast, I want to say, if not North America in general. I think it was North America in general. And they were just making ridiculous sums of money.
So who lived in that house?
My buddy Mike, me, my buddy Doel, my buddy Richie, Lenny from here and there, but Lenny's house was also like the spot to be. So I don't know if Lenny ever fully moved into there. And we would just, during high school, we were living there. His dad, eventually, he was like one of the boys. There was something about this guy. He'd see me walk in at 2 o'clock in the morning in Holbrook, and I'd be fucking tripping over myself after a party, and he'd pull up, in a Bentley or a fucking beautiful Mercedes. Be like, well, Chili Willy. That's what he used to call me. And he'd be like, jump in the car. So I'd jump in the car, and he'd give me a ride to 7-Eleven, buy me a carton of cigarettes, a case of beer, and hand me $1,000. And I'd be like, whoa, what a night change.
And you're
Let's
like
go.
17?
At that point in time.
And he's giving
16,
you
17.
wow. So
Yep.
these parents have no fucking
Yeah.
sense.
Oh,
of,
it was crazy.
yeah.
Yeah.
And are they in active use too?
The mother was sober and trying to pull for other people to get sober. And the father, unbeknownst to us, was a raging crackhead.
Just out of his mind.
Oh, yeah.
So you guys move in over there. And how did Mike die?
Mike died of a overdose. What had happened with that was me and Mike were both struggling heavily. And Mike went up to a program. I was on probation. I was about to get sent to jail. And so I thought I was like 19. How old was I? Maybe 20s, early 20s, 19, somewhere in that ballpark. Couldn't even tell you. And I remember we were like, yo, we're going to do this. We're going to get sober. And the next morning I go to court. I get locked up. From being locked up, I get shipped to the airport. And then they shoot me down to my first rehab ever, which was sunny South Florida, West Palm Beach.
We got to get to there. We'll get to there. And Mike wound up
How
going,
he ended up dying was while I was down there, he was going to get himself into a treatment, but our plan was to go together. Not that I had, I'm not
I
that
understand.
powerful,
I
but in my
understand.
brain at that time, I was like, if we would have done this,
he wouldn't have died.
he let his dad move back into his house after his dad got out of jail. This is like jumping the timeline crazily from the real story, so it's a little hard to.
Let's get back to. We'll get back to the real story, and we'll circle back. I just wonder if Mike was in Lenny's story.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's a lot of deaths in Lenny's story too.
Mike absolutely was
So
one of Lenny's best friends as well.
It's interesting where the crossovers happen. So you're moving into this palatial house with people giving you crazy money, cigarettes,
Drugs,
alcohol, drugs. The dad is giving you coke.
The dad is giving us coke, fucking crack.
When's the first time crack shows up?
First time crack ever shows up was it was actually me, my buddy Lenny, and our buddy Richie. And Lenny and Richie worked for that woman Stephanie's company. They were doing like computer work or whatever the hell they were doing. And I called them up one night, and I just got in this blowout argument with my mom over the phone. She told me to kill myself, So I'm like this, little teenage boy, like, I'll fucking kill her. And they were like, yo, we're going to come meet up with you after, but are you fucking down? And I'm like, I'm down for whatever, bro. Like thinking like, oh, we're going to go fucking fight somebody. We're going to go get hammered. We're going to go do some fucking stupid shit. And they come back to Lenny's house. I'm sitting outside of Lenny's, and all of a sudden it's a crack pipe. And I'm like, ugh, that shit is not for me. And it's me, Lenny, and our buddy Richie. And he's like showing us how to do it. We're smoking this shit, and I remember like throwing up and being like, "What the fuck?" And
You
I'm
had
like
said
16.
no. You had said no, and then all of a sudden you're like,
I
fuck
didn't
it.
verbalize no. In my head, I was like, "No,"
Yeah, and then you had, anyway,
But let's get down. See where this takes us. That was always kind of my attitude on it. And try anything once, twice if I like it.
right.
So it ended up being me and Lenny later that night talking about it. We were like, yo, whatever the fuck Richie does is what Richie does, but this ain't for us, dude. And I remember having like this deep conversation, like we're not meant for this path. And I was like convinced in my brain, like neither me or Lenny will ever sink to a bottom like that again. You know, so young. I was probably 16, 17 years old, maybe. Then shortly thereafter that, we ended up finding out that guy, Mike, smoked crack. And then that guy became one of my best friends on this whole entire planet. It was me and a 45-year-old man driving around in fucking Bentley smoking crack. And
Mike was Mike's dad's name too.
Yeah. Mike Sr., Mike Jr. We could refer
So
to him
then,
like that.
so then you and Mike Sr., that relationship is always the weird relationship. It happens to us all, where we meet somebody that is all old and gets high like we do, and then they need somebody to get high with,
a little companion,
and they feel like they're young, because we're young,
and guiding me is what I thought. We used to get high. He used to pick me up from school and pretend I'm his son, go to a doctor's office, sell this thing, be like, oh, we just got a new client. That guy's going to be like $1 million a year. Like, hand me fucking $1,000 and we'd go to the hood, pick up some crack. And next thing I know, it's 2 days later.
Where would you go pick up crack?
All over the place. Gordon Heights, he had guys in fucking Jamaica, Queens. He had guys in anywhere that we could find it. Train stations, fucking anywhere we could find it. Mostly Gordon Heights, and there was a kid, Ace, that was put into Mike's life from a young age, who came from a completely different style of life in, like, Wyandanch, West Babylon, wherever the hell he's from. And his whole family is just drug addicts and drug users and drug dealers, And he kind of would put us on the game with all that. And
then it would plug you and Mike Sr. in on where to go and whatever.
That he would sell it to us. Mike Sr. moved him into the house at a point. So it was just go knock on Ace's door, get some crack, do what we're doing.
And were you just in love with crack and this new situation?
At that point in time, it was just like, yo, that's so disgusting. I'll never do this shit again. And it actually just became something that I would like, as long as I don't pay attention to it, it's not a problem.
Well,
because it wasn't like powerlessness. It wasn't like, there was a lot of times that it was powerlessness. There was a lot of times where I was like, I'm not going to do that. Then I would do that, and I'd be like, I'm not going to do that again. Then I'd do it again. I was just turning a blind eye to it.
Well, also, you have somebody that, that is giving it to you.
Yeah. It was costing me no money. It was costing me my, state of being was not at risk. My livelihood was not at risk. The roof over my head was not at risk.
Well, you're still a kid.
Yeah.
Basically.
I'm getting new clothes when I'm out smoking crack with this guy.
It's a total fantasy.
I'm getting money handed to me. I'm driving around in a fucking, some exotic ass Mercedes or an Escalade.
And you're like, Bentley. This is just how it is.
Yeah. This is just what rich people do. We'd be sitting there writing on paper business ideas. I'd be writing fucking school papers, and then I'd hand the school paper in, and they'd be like, we're putting this in the fucking literary arts book because this is the most fantastic fucking paper we ever got.
The school said that?
Yeah, they did that with my college essay, which I wrote cracked out on mushrooms.
What was it about?
Fucking not going to college and how colleges are set up. It was basically cursing out colleges.
Wow, and you're fueled by psychedelics and crack.
Yep.
And you were a great writer.
On drugs, I guess so.
That's interesting to me. So, and how much tripping were you doing?
At that point in time,
usually the crack stops the tripping.
No, I was like an all over the place guy at that point. The tripping would happen, then it'd be some coke, then it'd be some. I was living like 45 different lives because then it was like a little bit more time went by. High school ended, and I'm at that house smoking crack. Then I'm with my other friends that are going to raves, and I'm selling ecstasy and doing ecstasy and mushrooms and acid. And then I'd be with my other friends that just drink and smoke weed. And then I'd be with these friends that I don't even fucking know, and they're doing ketamine. And then I'd be over here and they're eating mushrooms. And it was just anything I could get my hands on.
Except
which
opiates.
Ended up, opiates for me never sat with me. There was a point in time that I tried to do some heroin. It was after a run. It was me, my buddy Mike, and my buddy Richie. And I was like, yo, cut me off a little bit of that bag. And they break me a bag in half. And I'm like, nah, cut that in half. And it's like a quarter of a bag. And they're like, that's not even going to do anything for you. I was like, all right, so I'm going to cut that in half. And I did like a 16th of a bag of heroin, and I got sick as a dog for 3 days. And that's back when it was still heroin.
I wonder if
talking like
that
2010.
bag and a half would have killed you.
I wonder.
Because you knew
Yeah.
that you had to cut
I cut
that
it
shit
off so
down.
many times because I knew downers were not my thing.
How would you deal with coming off the crack though?
I would just
Ride it out.
ride it out.
And drink?
Drink sometimes.
But more just ride it out.
Yeah. And really, it became for me from a very early time that like I would use for so many days. Like I would just stay awake for a week. Like that's just what I would do. So eventually I'd just pass the fuck out because there's no gas left in the tank.
And how crazy are you at that point?
I was nowhere near as crazy as it became because it was like this sheltered secret. The world did not know. Nobody outside of Lenny, Richie, Mike, and his dad knew
What you
I
were
was
about.
smoking crack.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
Anything else I could fly by. Everyone's like, Will does drugs. I thought I was like a Hunter S. Thompson. Like, I don't advocate drugs or alcohol, but they always worked for me.
Right.
You know?
Right,
That's
right,
where
right.
I was living.
it's funny. We all think that.
Yeah.
We all think that
Yeah.
at some point.
I had a secret weapon. I'd show up to work on mushrooms. An
What were you doing for work?
electrician.
So you started, when did you get into that?
18 years old.
How
I was
did that
working at
happen?
a Stop and Shop selling weed to everybody at that Stop and Shop. And one day my manager's like, because I had gotten rolled up on the side, and these detectives, I was picking up a bunch of drugs at that point in time, but I had nothing but the money on me. So they were pulling money out of everywhere. And I was with my buddy Ray, and he's like panicked because he's got like a 10 bag on him. And they're pulling money out. And they're like, where'd this all come from? And I'm showing them in my phone. If I didn't know you, and I was like, all right, this Dave pulled up in a Honda Civic. I'd put Dave Civic in my phone. And I'm showing the cop, like, dude, I'm buying a car today. Look at all these people on my phone. Dave Civic, Lenny Hyundai, that guy, this. And they don't believe a fucking thing I'm saying.
Well, why would they?
Yeah.
You're fucking
but
high.
I'm so young.
You're
and
fucking high, full of money.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
I get called into my manager's office, and he's like, what are you going to do with your life? Seriously. And I was like, honestly, I'm going to become an electrician. He's like, how are you going to do that? And I was like, I'll meet somebody. And he laughed at me. And he's like, honestly, what are you going to do with your life? Like, you can't be doing this. And I was like, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to become an electrician. Next day comes, and I get called back to his office, and he's like, so turns out we can't keep you, blah, blah, blah. Making it like selling weed is now losing me the job for me at Stop and Shop pushing carts. And I'm like, I fucking sell
You were
weed, John.
pushing the carts
Yeah.
outside. Do they call it cart monkeying?
Basically what it is. I never
Never
heard
one
that.
said that?
No.
My
If
dog-
anybody asked, I said maintenance because I had the key to the maintenance closet.
So you didn't
and I would
say-
sell I would have that whole maintenance closet full of drugs.
You would never say
24
I'm a
hours a
cart
day.
monkey.
Nah.
Good for you.
Cart pusher.
And then good. That's very interesting.
Car
And
pusher by day, pipe pusher by night.
you seem like a very smart person. And this is going to be fucked up of me to say. Are most of the cart pushers mentally disturbed?
I always joke around about that it was like
You must have been the most
there was
capable.
Shelter Island moments. You know that movie where I'm like walking and the guy next to me is like,
Yeah, it's
you
really
know?
like
and I'm
that.
like, oh fuck, dude, where am I going with my life? You know, all my buddies went off to all the good kids went off to
All the
college.
good cart pushers?
All the other kids are working at this medical imaging company and you know making great money. And I'm just pushing carts, selling tons of drugs. But I'm making fantastic money and living the life beyond my wildest dreams. You know?
So you have
I'm able
no
to go to
comment. You have no
festivals
comment
and
on this
parties.
of my theory on cart pushers.
Yeah, they are cart monkeys.
Okay.
I'll agree with that.
Okay. Let's move back though. So does the manager have the electrician hookup?
So the manager tells me that I can't keep working there because of the weed and it's become a problem. I'm like, dude, I sell you weed. I'm like, John, what the fuck? And he's like,
No, you can still
he's
sell
like
me
arguing
weed.
me and pushing a card into my chest. And I'm like, get your fucking hands off me. Like, what the fuck? Because his job is like, everyone knows to come to Stop and Shop to buy weed or whatever other drug you need. They come party there. This job means the world to me. This is my fucking I set up like a nice little fucking
It's a life.
heaven for me.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the best thing ever. Smoking weed all day, pushing some carts with my fucking tongue hangers, you know, the window lickers. And
Hey, who are the window lickers?
a couple of the guys in there. Every cart pusher but me and Lenny. Lenny was also a cart pusher.
Amazing.
And eventually I take the card and I look at it and it's an electrician. And I'm like, I don't fucking need. And I flicked it at him and it just dawned on me right then, like, oh, this guy's giving me a shot. He's like, just call the number, Will. And he like pats me on my shoulder. So I call the guy and he's like, what's going on? This is Jimmy. I'm like, hi, how's it going? My name's Will. I just got your card from John. He's like, yeah, he's told me to call. He's like, you want to come work today? And I'm like, yeah, what time? He's like, what time are you off of work? I'm like, 3:30. He's like, perfect. Come out to Oceanside. So he sends me an address. It's 3:30. I leave Stop and Shop in Ronkonkoma, which is, all the way one way on Long Island. And I drive my car all the way to Oceanside on the other side of Long Island. And I'm walk up and I'm like, I know basic electric, da-da-da. I could put an outlet together, this, that. And I'm kind of selling myself over. Like, just give me a fucking shot.
How'd you learn that in school?
School. Yep. And it's like the only class I ever just obtained something in.
And that's where you were like, I can be an electrician.
I have no idea why it came out of my mouth.
But
no
you liked it. Like when you learned
liked it.
When you learned what an outlet was.
I really just wanted to sell weed and drugs and chill. That's really what I wanted to do. So
you did both.
Yep. And I show up to that job that day and he was like, all right, so here, this is what I need you to do. And he could see I don't know goddamn anything. And he ends up taking me that day. He's like, oh, could you drive a van? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. He's like, all right, leave your car here. Now my car is just going to be left in Oceanside. I'm driving this guy back to Islip. And he gets in the car next to me and he's like, oh, in the back seat, there's a box behind me. Just grab 2. And I'm like, oh, what? And I grabbed 2 natural ices, nice little cold beers out. And I put them in the cup holders and he sits down next to me and he cracks one. And I start the truck and I crack mine and I take a sip as I'm driving. And he goes, you got the job, kid. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, you don't know enough for me to hire you. He's like, but you'll drink and drive, you with the crew.
Wow.
And I'm like, fucking perfect, dude. Let's go. And now we're like best friends instantly because I'm like, this guy likes to party like I like to party. And Jimmy couldn't smell, so I could smoke weed in the back of his truck when I was riding in the back, and he would never know. I could drink all day on the job.
How did he lose his sense of smell?
Car accident when he was like 19 years old. He does all the hot sauce eating competitions on Long Island all the time because he can't smell or taste a thing.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So when do you start to sell ecstasy and ketamine and all this?
That happened. That would always become like little spurts.
Side hustle kind of thing.
Oh, there's a festival coming up. Let me pick a ton of ecstasy up. Oh, there's this coming up. Webster Hall started taking over for like my group of friends going out. Dubstep came out. And I remember being like sober and being like, I fucking hate this music. But you put some ecstasy in me and I'm like, yo, this is my favorite song, dude.
Right. And so when do things start to get to the other place, like this horrible place? Because things are still pretty good at this point.
They were pretty damn good, but there was always like that other side of me, like the next morning. Like I remember watching this documentary when I was a kid about ecstasy, and they would always say like they call it Suicide Mondays because to come down after ecstasy. Like I remember after every time, because I would overdo it like crazy. I'd go out with a couple friends, they'd buy an ecstasy pill and they'd eat it. At the time it was Molly. I'd sell them the capsule, they'd eat that little capsule. They'd have their night, and I had to eat 10 capsules and a fucking strip of acid and a little bit of mushrooms and some ketamine. Then I'm sniffing coke, and then it's 5 a.m. and I'm trying to figure out how to get to the next spot we're going to. I'm always driving everywhere. I'm fucking wrecked on so many different drugs. 700 people in my little broken down Mitsubishi Galant that runs like this, And my whole life was just consumed by drugs. I'd be making tons of money and then spending it all back on drugs. But or festival tickets or concert tickets.
But it still sounds like a good time.
It was, for the most part, a good time. It didn't really, for me, turn into like a horror story until I was about 28.
Well, what you were like at this point? You're like what, 21?
21ish.
Aren't you? How old are you now?
20. No, now I'm 32.
All right. So those years, those 7 glorious years? Is it just working, making money,
It's working,
partying?
making money, partying, some legal trouble, going to jail, little skid bit.
What kind of what kind of stuff? They just call you with drugs
and drugs. Yeah, selling weed originally put me on probation. I ended up just flanking every drug test, doing a jail sentence, getting off probation, getting a DWI, going to jail, getting another DWI, going to jail.
But still, like when you talked about your dad, who's kind of like, you're going to be able to walk away from this once you start working, or it's not going to really take over your life until you'll be able to walk away.
You'll get this out of your system.
But it sounds like between 21 and 27 or 28, it kind of was like that.
It was.
And
absolutely.
Then what happened with the medical imaging house? How did that fall apart?
Eventually down the line, the lady that owned that company and her husband, I don't know the full links of what took place, but they were committing some type of insurance fraud. And that insurance fraud led them to get indicted under several accounts of Class A federal felonies. And She had this whole other thing going on with the police department. That was all types of craziness going on. That she had some kind of evidence because she was then dating a cop and had all this shit. And there was like a lot of loose ends that I can't really speak on because I don't know the full story.
Sure.
There was a lot of crazy shit going on. She ended up getting convicted of like 100-something life sentences.
Wow.
And at that point in time, she made a lethal injection and killed herself.
Oh my God. Of what?
Couldn't tell you exactly.
And what
I
about
know that
Mike?
she left one for Mike as well. And I remember
For Mike Sr. or Mike Jr.?
Mike Jr. Mike Sr. was out of the picture at this point in time.
Where did Mike Sr. go?
Mike Sr., I believe, was in jail when she killed herself. He was in jail when she killed herself. He was there for domestic violence or something along those lines.
And so as it's escalating and you're still running around with Richie and Mike and Lenny,
Yeah.
and it's not that bad, when does it start turning?
At that point in time, it definitely started turning. I was seeing it happen with them. I remember at a point in time coming there, and Lenny was passed the fuck out after like a 3-day crack bender. And I remember pulling him out and being like, yo, we got to get the fuck out of here. Like, this house is now trouble. And, the demons started taking over. Mike and Richie were strung the fuck out bad. And, I kind of, at that moment in time.
On heroin, right?
Yeah, heroin, crack, fucking shooting coke, whatever they could get.
Were you shooting coke at that point?
No, they actually, Mike and Richie had stopped me at a point because they could see how much I would love just smoking crack, and I would never see a downside. I would go to work. I was like a very positive, my way crackhead.
I also just feel like there are weird little things in your story, like the electrician thing. It's like you had this weird idea in the back of your head that didn't really come from anywhere except that you knew how to build an outlet in high school. And this manager's like, what are you going to be? You're like, I'm going to be an electrician. Yeah. And then you get that gig, and things like that are really stabilizing forces.
1,000%.
I feel like that's how you had, right. I feel like that's how you got those 6 years of not falling apart. Like stability existed there. Yeah. So how did the wheels start coming off in there?
With,
just in general, cause we're talking about this very somewhat stable life, this kind of partying life with consequences. I mean, for a normal person, Dee-wees and skid bits would be enough for them to get sober or go full on.
See, and I'd put it down for X amount of time. I'd be like, all right, I can't smoke crack anymore.
Okay.
That just got me into trouble and got me that D-wee because I was actually leaving here to go pick that up. And if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have been on my way to fucking Amityville. And I would have never got the D-wee. So then I would come out and I'd just go to a local bar and drink and sniff some coke. Safe. In my little neighborhood. Party all night. Go
Manage
to work in the
your
morning.
use.
Yeah. As long as I showed up to work, which I would work these, 16-hour days. Then I'd come out and I'd party all night. Then I'd go back to work and work a 16-hour day.
And you make good money as
I made good money. And my boss, all my coworkers, I was the youngest guy working at every company I worked at that point in time. I'm fucking up until I was 25. And everyone would live vicariously through me, They'd be like, dude, live it up, have some fun. And I'd come to work with some story or like a picture of a naked girl. And I'd be like, oh, this is what I was doing,
Well, also
meanwhile, that picture of the naked girl was 4 years in the past. I'm like, oh, this is why, man. I'm all strung out,
Yeah. So, but it's that's another thing in general. I mean, it's a Long Island thing, but it's also just an alcoholic thing. Did somebody just walk in?
No.
Which is when you can work 16-hour shifts, most people tend to need to blow off steam. And especially blue collar, fucking good income, blue collar, long shifts.
It's I deserve this stuff.
Yeah. This, you work hard, play hard.
Yeah.
It's a great myth.
Yeah.
And for some people it works.
I lived by that though. And it did work for a lot of people. A lot of people at my companies we'd go out to Fire Island one day and get fucking wrecked drinking. We'd take the boat back. We'd all go to the post office in Babylon, get more wrecked, and then they'd go home.
Wait, what's the post office?
It's like some bar in Babylon. That was the spot.
It was. I figured you were just getting drugs
at the post office. No. And at that point in time, they'd all go home, and I'd continue partying. But my night, back then, I just didn't have an off switch. As long as I showed up to work the next day, if I didn't miss a day, if I only missed one day in 2 weeks, that was okay. So that would be my target. As long as I do a no-call, no-show once every 2 weeks, my boss won't fire me. I was an extremely hard worker, too.
I could see
And
that.
I would pick shit up. I actually cared.
Right,
You
I
know,
could
so
see
my
that
bosses
too.
would always give me the benefit of the doubt. Like, kind of like my father. Like, oh, he'll get it out of his system. He'll get it together. Oh, that's just Will. He's crazy.
We can count on him, but he's crazy.
Yeah.
So when does it start changing?
For me, the dramatic change took place the first time around, which in my brain now computes to like this little soft one. I had an apartment that I built with my buddy in his basement, and I was on probation again, and my probation officer, one night, I'm like, yo, I'm going to get fucking wrecked. Like, smoke crack, do what I want to do. So I pick up an 8-ball of crack, and I go back to my apartment, and I put it in my shirt because one of the roommates from upstairs came downstairs. And I put it in my shirt, and he's talking to me, and I'm like, get the fuck out of my room so I can party, dude. And right then, the back door to my apartment, the basement door is open a little bit, and the door opens, and it's my probation officer. And she comes in my room. It's the day after, like, Memorial Day weekend or Labor Day weekend, whichever one it was. My fridge has zero food, nothing but beer. There's beer cans everywhere, open baggies all over the place, a bong, and it's a shit show.
Were
My
you
apartment is a
basically on
fucking party
the
house.
probation from the DWIs and what?
I was on probation at that point in time from selling weed when I was a kid, DWIs, and so many times that I've like would get remanded, go to jail, come back out, get remanded.
But it was
go to jail,
always
come
like
back out.
alcohol, drug related.
Yeah.
So she walks into
Yeah.
basically alcohol, drug fueled fantasy.
Yep, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. After being on house arrest, where I was like homelessly living on house arrest for many months, like with my house arrest bracelet plugged into my car, because this thing only knew if I was near it, you know, it didn't know if I was home, didn't know if it was at an address. As long as it was plugged in, that's all that mattered. And I'd go hang out at the bar with a house arrest bracelet with my car parked on the curb, you know? So I was within the range of this thing. Eventually down the line, I somehow managed to manipulate probation into thinking I deserved to have that bracelet off. They took that bracelet off. At that moment, I was living at my buddy Richie's house. And the one I was talking about, he got his life together. He got sober. He moved me in because he knew I was in a bad way. I started to sway
Wait, what happened with the probation officer coming in the house?
in that direction. And then I moved out, created that apartment. Within 3 weeks, she walked into the house.
Oh, for a second, you almost got sober with Richie. And then you were like, nah.
And then eventually I was like, nah, I got this. Like, I'm all good, dude. I don't need everything that you're selling. You got a family and kids now. Do you? I'm going to go move over here. But in the back of my head, it was a total reservation of like, I want to go live it up again. I want to go do what Will does. And within 3 weeks, that situation happened with my probation officer. And
what did she do?
she came in, she told me to take a P test, and I told her I'm going to fail for everything under the sun. And there's no reason, just throw me in jail. And she's like, I'm not gonna. You're going to go back to outpatient. You're going to go to a rehab. Then you're going to go outpatient and this and that. And now I'm 100% convinced. You guys are my problem. I would not have to party this hard. I would not have to do drugs that get out of my system so fast. If it wasn't for these P tests, I could just smoke weed. Straight insanity going on.
Well, there's also a classic.
Denial.
Well, it's a classic Long Island thing that I've in my work, in my loose journalism work. Everybody out here would rather do a short time in jail than do rehab and probation.
And fix my life, yeah.
So what is that about?
Why is that reasoning?
Well,
I
it's
think
because people
like it's the easier, softer way. For me, I was like, at that point, I've been to jail a couple times. The working tier knew me. I was like gold to them. They'd
How
be like,
is
Will's
jail?
here. He's going to lay tile, eat chicken sandwiches, paint the fucking houses in Yaphank, cut the grass, you know. They loved when I showed up there.
describe what going to jail was.
Going to jail for me the first times, like actual jail, I remember going in there being like, yo, this shit's going to be crazy. Like, what did I just get into? And
I'm gonna get raped.
basically, exactly. And
Straight out of the movie,
yep,
kind of thing.
exactly. I'm just thinking worst case scenario possible. And they come in and they're like, so we see you work, blah, blah, blah. They were making a joke because they couldn't take my fingerprints because my hands were so calloused. They were like, we see you work. Are you interested in working? And I was like, no, I'm not interested in working for fucking cops, bro. I'm good. And the guy's like, all right, we're going to put you in as a worker, dude. And I was like, fuck you, I'm not working. You know,
What were you
cool.
think-
I was on reception. I
Right.
thought that it was going to be like
Snitching and like busting
shit like
people,
that. And like
being undercover.
everyone, I know that like the tier was like, oh, you're gonna go to the working pods, you're gonna be fine. And I like wanted to like have the real jail experience. You know, that's
To
what
be
I'm-
hardened.
Yeah. Oh, I need the real deal. I don't need this working class shit. So they basically forced me into Pod 3 West South, which is known as the White House, which is just a bunch of working people doing their thing, eating chicken sandwiches, chilling, laughing, playing games.
Wait, what are these chicken sandwiches like?
Chicken sandwiches are good. They're like Tyson chicken sandwiches.
Right,
It's like school lunch versus jail lunch.
And then you're in Yaphank fucking working
I'm
on
in
tiles?
Riverhead.
Are you not at the farm?
No, not the first time. First time I'm in Riverhead. And I remember I was told I'm going to wake up at 5:30. That next morning, they're going to buzz my door, make sure I get up. You're going to walk out. You're going to put your boots on, jacket, da-da-da. You're going to walk out, and we're going to take you to undisclosed location for work for the day. So I get in the back of the thing. I hardly slept that night because I'm all like excited now. Like, oh, what are we doing? This is crazy. What a turn. And I wake up, and I pick my head up, and I just hear the ocean. And I'm like, where the fuck are we? And I look, and it's the Montauk Lighthouse, and I've never been to Montauk before. So
You're like, this is fantastic.
This is fucking sick, dude. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
They got us egg sandwiches on the ride out. I'm eating an egg sandwich, and I'm in jail. I'm eating an egg sandwich. Someone in that like working group was like, yo, come over here. And he was smoking a cigarette with me, which is like impossible to find in this fucking jail. And we're just smoking a cigarette after our egg sandwiches, drinking a cup of coffee. Like, this
Living
is
it
fucking
up.
sick.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Now I'm in this Montauk Lighthouse doing a demo, and I'm like working my ass off like I do. I'm excited about the job. You know, this is fucking cool. Let's rip apart the life-saving house. And I'm finding newspaper articles, and the fucking guy that runs the life-saving house is talking to me like a normal human being, and I'm in this, you know,
You have
orange
purpose
jumpsuit.
and you're capable
Yeah,
of doing.
and they made me feel important because
orange jail
I'm with
jumpsuit?
like a bunch of reject, you know, cart monkeys, and I'm like a capable working person.
You're
know?
like an asset.
Yeah.
Like a major asset.
And instantly I became the top dog on the crew. Instantly. Then they started questioning me what I'm capable of doing. I told them I'm an electrician. I fixed the heat for them in the thing. Now the guy's as cool as you could possibly be for me. He used to smoke these like little cigars, like Black and Mild type deals.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, yeah, I got to throw these things out. And he'd stomp on it, wink at me, and walk away. And he would just leave me a Black and Mild to smoke.
Well, isn't it funny though? Also, it's like usefulness is like a drug. It's like to get respect, purpose, usefulness, and all, because you're not doing drugs in that stretch.
No.
You're just fucking doing what you're told, getting some benefits, getting some respect, and you're like, this isn't bad.
Yeah.
Because it's like
I'm living it up. You know, plus I'm getting street cred outside.
Because you're doing this hard time.
Delusional thinking because I'm in jail.
Right.
You know?
So the lady is like, you're busted, and you're like, all right, send me back to my folk in Yaphank. And she's like, no, I'm sending you to treatment.
Yeah. But I chose to go back into jail.
Or you did it anyway.
Yep. And because I wanted to be off probation at this point, and I was like, I'll take my breakout time.
Right.
So I ended up taking my breakout time, which was even crazier. My second time in jail, I go in there, and I'm like, oh, I'm doing 6 months. But because of all my remands on probation, I had like 110 days served. So I had to only do like 30 something days, whatever the time worked out to be. It would be 180. I had like 150 days served. So unbeknownst to me, I go in there right before Thanksgiving. I celebrate Thanksgiving in jail.
What's
eat
that
my
like?
little turkey, you know. I'm back in the fucking, in the pod, same pod I was in the first time. I eat my little turkey dinner, and I'm sitting there talking to one of the guys about my situation, and he's like, dude, you're going to have all your time served. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, bro, go get your paperwork. So I go get my paperwork, and I show him. He's like, dude, you got 180 days. I'm like, yeah, 6 months, dumb fuck, thanks. And he's like, no, dude, but you have 112 days served or 130 days, whatever it was. And I remember it worked out to that I was going home literally right before Christmas. And I was like,
wow,
holy fucking
So you did a
shit.
month. You did a month.
So I did a month on this, what I thought was going to be a 6 month
months.
sentence. Yeah.
Well, look at Lenny. He thought he was going to do 12 years, and he did 7 months.
The turnaround.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you get out of there, and when does the horrible thing start happening?
So I get out of there on that one. I put the drinking and drugging down for a little bit of time.
When you got out?
Sporadically. Yeah.
Because is there
party
somewhere,
like a normal guy.
Was there
I guess.
something in your head that said, if I go too hard?
I was kind of just sick of it at that point in time.
Okay.
Like there was something in me that was like, I don't want to live like that anymore. And I thought that I could control it. I would drink, and eventually down the line, it took me right back to the same exact place. And I'm drinking, I'm smoking crack, and I'm fucking up in life, and I can't hold a job and all this shit. And
You're going through different electrical companies at that point?
yeah. Plus doing all my own side work because I'm like a people person. And without telling somebody this whole story, I could play the charade of, the chameleon act of like, I'm just a good dude, And I had tons of side work. There was points that I would be taking buddies because I never had cars at this point. My whole life was in shambles. No license, no car, on probation.
But you're still working, and you're still
still
jumping from thing to thing. Are you
trying to
selling
make
drugs
something
too?
happen. No, drugs at this point I was convinced were just going to lead me back to jail.
And that was scary.
And I could no longer sell drugs successfully. I've tried to pick up like an ounce of coke, and then I would do the whole ounce of coke, and I'm like, fuck,
right.
That was all my money.
Okay,
And what ends up happening is down the line, I am getting my life back together. I got a car again, and I got these things going, and I'm working. And my buddy's having a wedding. I'm supposed to take an Uber with a bunch of people, and I tell them later that day, like, yo, I'm getting fucked with work. I got to go to another job. Blah blah blah. I'm just gonna drive everybody. And they're like, yo, you're not driving. Because all my good friends from like very young youth, all of them could see that I can't drink and drug normally. But they don't know what to say, what to do about the situation.
They just accepted you as this is just how Will is.
Yeah, exactly. Good, hard, stupid as fuck.
And it was before the real nightmare happened. So they don't know what's coming.
Yeah.
We're all young. You're young and you don't know what's coming.
Yeah, there's never been something. They did not know that it was smoking crack. They did not know how long cocaine nights would go. They did not know the depth. They just thought of it as, I'd play it off as cute party kid, having a good time. I'm doing what I love to do. You guys do what you do. Eventually down the line, it leads me back into the same exact place. I end up going to this wedding that night, and leaving that wedding, I make a text to get some drugs. Guy answers me back. I'm sitting at a 7-Eleven waiting, getting a pack of cigarettes. I pull out of that 7-Eleven. Car pulls up next to me at this stop sign. I flash him. He flashes me. I flash him. He flashes me. I go. He pulls out behind me. I'm like, oh, fuck, that's an unmarked cop. Pulls me over. I end up getting a fucking another DWI. I won't blow. I won't do this. I know the whole game. Just put me in jail. Ended up taking that jail sentence again. Get shipped to Yapank. Get out of Yapank. Now I'm like 100, and COVID hits during this time while I'm in Yapank. Whole world gets shut down. In my head, I'm like, I was doing a lot of side work at that point. I book all this side work. I'm just going to work. I'm going my dad's route. My dad just works 24 hours a day. That's what I'm going to do. And I get out of jail and I follow suit with that. I'm just working. Eventually I get offered a job traveling all over the place. I get in with that company. It's this little tiny company trying to figure out how to do what they're doing. I was working weekends with them. Eventually I take a full-time position. I work up from that full-time position to like lead guy and to, prospect partner in the future and hiring some buddies into the company and really running a lot of the show.
And you're thinking maybe I can actually have a life here.
Yeah. I'm thinking in my head now, I'm like making really great money. COVID's going on. The whole world shut down. I got buddies working with me when I'm doing side work at home for me, whatever. And I got this gig going on.
Potentially
and I got
great
working
success.
for me. Yeah. Turnarounds of my life. And I stack up all this money and I got crypto and I got stocks and I got a credit card now. First time I ever had a credit card, I got an 810 credit score. Look at me. I turned my whole life around. This is fantastic. I'm reading books every night. I don't have a TV. These were my rules. I read books. I don't own a TV and I sleep with my mattress on the floor. My closet is just full of cash. I got like no clothes because I don't go out. I don't do none of that. All I'm doing is working. I'm doing what I saw my dad do my whole life. That's basically what I'm doing, besides read books. And
what were you reading?
Any kind of self-help. Outliers, Malcolm Gladwell, self-help, whatever would just spark my interest. Tons of rock history and, like that Anthony Kiedis book. Yeah. Then that dove me into like all different celebrities and their stories. Because in my head, I party like a rock star.
You did.
I did.
You did.
But in my head, these are the guys I'm relating to. And
they were drug addicts. Who were out of control.
But normal drug addicts, I had this big terminally unique thing going on that if like Alcoholics Anonymous ain't gonna work because you didn't party like I partied.
Right.
I need a different resolve, So what happened is eventually down the line, I met a girl. I start drinking. I could drink successfully again. I could drink some wine, kind of like they say in the book. And I'm drinking wine, and that's okay. We go to the wedding, meet this girl. End up, she's living in Tennessee with her family, but we grew up in the same neighborhood. And I start making the exception that when I go to Tennessee, I could drink. That's what's in my head. It's a cognitive distortion of like, I could drink successfully as long as I'm in this Bible state away from.
So when you were doing that workahol system, you weren't drinking at all?
No.
You weren't doing anything?
I was bare bones working 18 to 20 hours a day.
So you were like
overnight.
Pseudo sober?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Workaholic, just running from
harm reduction through work and money.
Straight up, I honestly was just so zoned in on that. I was such a one-track mind on like, I need success. That's what I need. And it started falling in suit. I started getting the things. I got the apartment.
Obsession with
helping
money.
A buddy out.
Obsession
with
work.
money, work. Met this girl. Now I'm drinking when I go to Tennessee. That's like the deal. Coming home, going back to work. Now I'm going to Tennessee because I'd be working for 3 weeks and I'd be off for a week. And on those weeks off, I'd go to Tennessee and get plastered in Nashville. And I'd go back.
Why was it Tennessee though? That's where she's from?
She was from here, then moved to Tennessee.
So you were like, I'll take a week.
Fly to Tennessee on that week, stay in some beautiful hotel, live lavishly. I got the company card and I got all these hotel points from booking hotels with my old, with regular job. I was living like this amazing thing.
Anthony
now I started
life.
alcoholically figuring out flight miles and this and that. So I'm getting free flights and it's during COVID. I'm fucking like the only guy on a flight. I'm living like this beyond my wildest dreams life, you know?
Yeah.
Beautiful thing. Fell in love. This is amazing. Time goes by and eventually I'm upstate with my boss and we'd be working jobs solo at this point in time. And I'd have 2 stores over here. He'd have 2 stores here and the other 2 guys would be on 2 stores wherever they are. And we're up by Syracuse, New York. And he's like, yo, why don't you come meet me at the casino? It's my birthday weekend, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right, fuck yeah. It's your birthday weekend, right? Let's go. And Ray drinks and sniffs cocaine like a gentleman compared to me. I'm not here to talk about Ray's style. But compared to me, it was like a gentleman. And in his head, I'm this straight edge kid, workaholic at this point.
He has no idea.
Yep. Never see me drink. Doesn't even know that I'm going to Tennessee and drinking.
Right.
He just thinks that I'm with this girl and da-da-da. This guy's like a brother to me at this point. And we go over there. I never played blackjack. I'm not into gambling, casino, any of that. I played spades in jail and go fish when I was a kid. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And I go out to this casino. He's playing blackjack for me. I came in with like $53. I walk out with like fucking $3,500, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm a fucking pro card player. You know. Meanwhile, he played everything for me. And I'm like, yo, right, we're walking out. I'm like, let's go get a fucking drink. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah, bro, it's your fucking birthday. We'll stay here.
You're high on the
gambling. We're going to have a good fucking night, dude. We'll stay here.
Yeah.
I'll buy the fucking room, da-da-da. He's like, fuck that. Let's party, da-da-da. We go, we get a drink, and I order my old fashioned because I'm drinking like a gentleman now. And I'm whoop, like that. And he's like, oh, yeah. So then he fucking bombs one. And I'm like, yo, let's go to your truck. And he's like, oh, yeah. Because I knew he would have these little vials. He's an 80s baby. He had these little vials of cocaine he would carry around. But he would bring like whatever, at that point in time, like a gram for the weekend. And we go to his truck. I pour out a little bump. I sniff it. And I'm like, yo, you got to take me to get a pack of cigarettes. He's like, oh, smoke some of mine. I'm like, no, I need mine. Take me to get a pack of cigarettes. So I had him take me to all these different gas stations. So
trying to find crack.
Trying to find baking soda and a crack stem and screens in a fucking pipe, you know? And eventually I find what I needed to find. Let's go back to the hotel. Yeah, I got to go upstairs. I got to go to bed. We got work tomorrow. And I take his Coke and I go upstairs. I cook it up, smoke and crack.
Did Ray know you took his Coke?
He did.
Okay.
Doesn't even shrug his shoulders at it.
Yeah.
He's just like, it is what it is. I'm going to bed,
right.
You know? Because in his head, he doesn't even think like I think.
And you take his Coke and
cook it up, smoke crack that night. I'm tweaking the fuck out. Next morning, I'm fucking, you know, I had to leave at fucking 5 a.m. to get to my job. He's awake for me because his job's close, banging on my door, trying to wake me up, and eventually gets a key because his room's under him, comes in. I'm like this. There's fucking, you know, hotel room's trash because I'm looking for cameras and, you know, whatever the fuck I'm doing, tweaking out. And he was just like trying to have this conversation with me, and I'm just pointing the finger in his face like, you're the reason this happened, or this is why I never do this. And I'm playing like this innocent kid.
Like,
I never did this in my life. Right. I don't know what the fuck happened. This is why I work alone. This is why I don't want to hang out with the other guy. Blah, 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 blah. This is why I'm living the way I'm living.
But does he know that you took the coke, made the crack?
Yeah. He doesn't know that I made the crack.
Okay.
He knows that I took the coke.
Okay.
He thinks that like, oh, this poor guy.
But making the crack is the real
deal.
Yeah. That's how he would
everything
know.
that I'm hiding. Once again, I'm hiding that.
Right.
There's not many people in my life that know about this, you know? And that's like my dirtiest secret.
Well, it wouldn't serve you for them to know either.
So whatever, I go back on the road, and now the obsession starts really taking over again. Now I'm popping up in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and I'm like, Bridgeport, Connecticut is a spot. So I make a fucking friend there. Now anytime I'm going up to Connecticut or Vermont or Maine or wherever the fuck, I got a guy. Now I'm going to, Ohio, Dayton, Ohio, fucking making a friend. Virginia, making a friend over here. Typing in highest crime rate, wherever the fuck I'm popping up. Now I go from like the guy.
That's how you're figuring out where you're going?
My address would get sent to me. I'd land at the hotel, and I'd most of the time have a little bit of drugs on me left by the time I got there. But it's like, yo, where am I going to find more?
So would you Google highest crime rate?
That's where I'm finding it.
And then you do hit the maps and
popping up right there.
So what kind of
I'd go to a Haladala, I'd go to the gas station, I'd sit at a gas station and just wait.
Can you think of any
in the car like this, and eventually somebody would be like, yo, I know what this guy's trying to do. And
can you think of
like,
any?
Yo, you good? I'm like, yeah, I'm looking for some hard, bro.
Any real memorable scenes out there like that?
There was, Bridgeport, Connecticut. I was there so many times because I'd pass by. There was a dude twin up there that I would get drugs off of. That like, it became like that was like my guy. I remember being up there and I would get all fucked up, and I was supposed to go up to Maine. And I was way too wrecked. I was like, I can't stay like this. So I got a Holiday Inn. And I remember calling the Holiday Inn like a million times and being like, there's blood all over the floor. This room is fucking disgusting. I'm not staying. I need a new room. Come down to the desk, get a new card, new key, fucking walk up, new room. There's blood all over the floor.
Why?
I was just tweaking the fuck out, thinking that my room was absolutely a fucking disaster shit show. You know? I was wrecked.
And normally when you would show up in one of these towns, you just sit in the worst place possible, and somebody would be like, what's this white kid doing here? And come up to you.
Yep.
And that
be
was
like, yo, what are you doing? And I'd have to like sometimes gain some trust. I'd always buy the pipe first,
Just to be like, look, I use this pipe. Yeah.
This thing, half the time I would have 7 dirty ones in the car,
just to show.
It got to a point that you could look at my face and be like, yo, that's a drug addict.
Of course.
I was
I
shriveled
I can still see it. So fucking, what happens then? Oh, what happened with Mike? When does Mike die?
Didn't I tell that part?
But we didn't connect the timeline.
So that was, I was 20, I think if I'm correct, I was 23. I believe he died in 2016. 9 years ago, maybe 20, in that ballpark. What I believe that took place was he moved his dad back in. His dad was a raging drug addict. His dad, at that point in time, the house turned into like this beautiful mansion. I remember hanging sheets so like prostitutes and drug addicts could move in to like these little sheeted off rooms in the fucking foyer, in the great room, in the dining area. There was a kitchen, a bathroom, and all these sheets. Everyone's, all drug addicts living on the first floor, like Skid Row style shit. I would stay in Mike's room with Mike. Across from Mike would be a couple of ghetto drug dealers. The other side of the hallway was Big Mike's room. He would just stay in, master bedroom, bathroom. And then downstairs, there was another bedroom that another group of drug dealers would live in. And the basement was rented out to like some biker gang at this point, And I end up getting shipped down to South Florida. And I remember like trying to talk to Mike about not letting his dad move back in, The sheets were still up. Some crazy people were
and
still
that was when you had the idea that maybe you wanted to get sober.
Yes. All these years beforehand. It sounded good if I'm doing it with Mike because our lives were in a wreck. I get shipped down to South Florida, and just before I got there, I was sitting in reception, and I remember not making any phone calls for a couple days, and I called my mom eventually because I was like, I feel like I got to call my mom. And I call her, and she's like crying hysterical. And I'm like thinking like it's my fault. She's like, I don't even want to tell you. And I'm like, what the fuck happened? Like now I'm in a fucking sheer panic. And she told me that Mike passed away. And it hit me like a fucking ton of bricks. I remember just fucking ripping the phone cord because I was just so angry. Like, it was like, I can't punch one of these steel walls. I remember ripping the phone, and then I'm in fucking hella trouble in the jail. They ended up keeping me in reception for dumb long. I get shipped down to South Florida, and it like ruined every shot of wanting to get sober. Like that just completely derailed me. All I wanted to do was come home and kill Mike's dad because I could perfectly picture how disgusting the end of his life was. And it was exactly that. Years later, I'm actually sitting there with a kid that's friends with another kid I know, and he's telling me this story of this house in, Lake Grove, Center Reach area they used to go to buy sneakers off this fucking crazy drug addict. And I knew that the kid was telling a story about Mike, but he didn't know that I knew that. And he's like, dude, and I remember the last time I went there, the kid was laying in his bed, and his dad's like, yeah, he's sleeping. But his son was blue, dude, and he was without a doubt dead. And I remember just walking out of there. And I stopped him, and I was like, dude, when was that? And like, I chopped it up to get the timeline down, and it was exactly when Mike had passed away. And he was literally there. The dad was selling everything out of that house, selling his son's sneakers with his son dead in his bed.
Was that the same guy that drove you to the house and said...
That was a different guy.
Who was that guy?
That guy is my buddy Richie's father.
Okay.
Richie also ended up
So
passing away.
Richie, how did Richie die?
Richie died of a fentanyl overdose after having just about 2 years of sobriety.
And he had kids.
2 kids.
And how old was he when he died?
Richie was 25.
So
26.
and these are like when we were talking, you were saying between 22 and 28, everything wasn't even that bad. And it was fucking bad.
It's the delusion in my head.
Yeah, it was
my
fucking bad.
timelines with everything is fucking...
But it was bad.
It was like this.
Right. But so you're not fucking going from store to store with a closet full of cash buying crack, but all your friends are fucking dying.
Yeah.
You're in a mansion turned into a trap house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like... And you're in alcohol, cocaine fueled delusion until you could become some kind of workaholic. Yeah. It's crazy fucking story. So you're traveling on crack, and I'm sorry about your friends, obviously.
No, of course.
And of course, and like I've lost, very close friends only in my recovery too, which is really bizarre. But I feel close to you and your friends because I know some of them, and I've been around this for a little bit, which is interesting because you know what I mean? Only
see
after the fact. Seeing how it all fits together. So you're in this horrible way traveling and doing crack. And what's building then? Because obviously between 28
and me at this point, at that point, demon, absolute demon. Because then it was, there was like a weird combination of getting close with that girl and
Who
the
was
first
she?
time.
That wasn't the girl, the AIDS girl, though. That was a different girl.
Same girl that situation took place with. She never had AIDS.
Okay. No, I know.
This girl was just like the first girl I ever actually felt like a form of love with.
Right.
And I remember with her, like, going into these stories, because, like, before this, I never spoke about it, really. Like, it was never, like, an in-depth conversation with somebody about what was going on. Any therapy I ever had, I bullshitted my way through. I was never a part of any of that ever. And some kind of combination of opening up with her about my life and like actually being able to then like psychoanalyze like how fucking crazy things were. Cause like just before I'll do that so fast of like, no, things were good. Meanwhile, it was a fucking shit show.
Everyone was dying.
Forever.
Yeah.
Literally forever. It was a shit show. But something in my head just tells me like it wasn't that bad.
Well, what made it worse after 28?
I think I had that psychoanalyzation of like, yo, your life is fucked up, dude. And then it just became like this resentment toward God, which I didn't even believe in. And anybody that had like a good life, I developed a resentment against. And I was like, no one's ever felt this pain before. That's where the terminally unique came in and all that kind of stuff.
Jealousy, resentment, anger, fear, low self-esteem.
Yeah.
I can relate.
Yeah.
I can relate to all that stuff.
I just felt like there was people and then there was me. And I didn't think it mattered if I died. At that point in time, I remember being like, having like this hatred toward my mom unjustly because I thought that I can't kill myself because she's alive. So I just want to die of an overdose, and that's how I want to go like my friends did. You know, I felt like they were the only people I ever connected with and all these like really bullshit things.
Well, they were the people you grew up with.
Yeah.
And they were also the people
That understood.
that
you know?
you had the best times of your life that were even better because you're fucking crazy on drugs.
Yeah.
And then you also were in death-defying moments all the time, which is like trauma bonding. You guys were bonded together.
We went through those together. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. But for some reason, like Lenny was a kid that was right there with me through all that. But I wanted the dead ones because I couldn't get the dead friends back. You know what I mean? I couldn't just talk to Lenny, you know?
Well, Lenny had his
was
own
tight with me at that point in time. Lenny was just as shit wrecked as I was.
Dude,
you
Lenny
know?
had his own fucking problems.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
he's
100%.
totally strung out on fentanyl, heroin, crack,
Yeah.
and mourning the same losses.
Yeah.
And then he winds up selling the coke to the undercover.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what is that last 4-year run like, and how do you get out
So
of it?
that
Like,
was, it started off on the road, doing it on the road. And then eventually at home, I would start picking up at home on the weeks I had off. Now it was no longer fun to go to Tennessee. I'll FaceTime this girl. We'll talk like that. And
same girl.
Same girl. Eventually, we ended up actually started like really dating because we thought it was crazy for her to be there and me to be here, and she was gonna move here, and this whole thing. We started really dating.
She moved here.
Yep.
Did she know how bad you were?
No. So naive, this poor girl. And what had happened
Those
was,
things always crack.
Oh, yeah.
You're as bad as you can
Yeah.
be. This girl's
Literally,
in love
I was
with
a
you.
complete disaster and like obvious disaster.
Yeah.
I'd be on FaceTime with her, convinced that there's other men in the room.
Yeah.
You know, like really losing my mind. Bad. Taking out everything on her because she's who I loved most on this planet at that point in time. And just being a complete terrible person, terrible partner, terrible friend to all my friends, terrible son to my parents, terrible all around. Now I'm picking up at home, getting fucking wrecked for 9 days at home, going back on the road, getting wrecked on the road, coming home, getting wrecked at home. Full on, took on, like I'm a crackhead, this is what I am. But like not openly at that point. In my head, I thought like I'm going to die and I won't have to worry about the consequences here. And eventually down the line, this girl and I go on a trip. And in my head, I'm like, yo, I'm going to give this a shot to like get sober. So we go on this trip and I come home from the trip and I tell my boss, yo, I'm not going to work for your company anymore. I need to get sober. This job is creating a life that at first that job got me off Long Island. Therefore, I needed that job because it got me away from the shit show. Now I needed to go live a normal life. So my brain flipped. Now I needed to go live a normal life. I fell in love. I'm going to make a family and have kids and live happily ever after. That's what I need to do now. And we get into this blowout argument. Me and my boss were like brothers, but when we duke it out, we duke it out. And I ended up telling him like, Ray, you're going to die of a brain aneurysm, and I'm not going to end up like that. And 3 days later, we're on
You
the
thought that
phone.
because he was doing coke.
Yeah. And now his cocaine habit had escalated immensely.
He's not doing coke like a gentleman anymore.
Not anymore.
Okay.
And at that time, he'd be telling me, because he didn't know it was crack, he'd be like, the shit you're doing is dirty. That's why you need to do my coke. And I'd go to get paid, and he'd hand me a fucking 8-ball, and I'd come home, and I'd cook that 8-ball. And I'm like, this is all fucked up, you know? And eventually what took place was I quit. Told him I'm quitting, blah, blah, blah. You're going to have a brain aneurysm. 3 days later, I'm on the phone with him. He's like, come to my house. Let's have a conversation at like 2 o'clock, something like that. He owed me some money. I'm like, okay, perfect. So I'm calling him at 2, calling him at 3, calling him at 4, calling him at 5. I'm like, yo, what the fuck's up with this guy? He's not answering his phone. And I get a call at like 11 o'clock at night from my buddy. And I'm walking in a Walmart in Center Reach. And I'm with that girl. And my buddy goes, dude, you got a second? I got to tell you something. And I'm like, what's going on? He's like, Ray died. And I dropped my phone because in my head, I was like, this guy just died of a brain aneurysm. And that's exactly what took place.
He died of a brain aneurysm.
Yep.
And you had told him he was going
Yeah.
to.
And it like something fucking
Broke.
Yeah, completely. Like these weird little things, like I was talking about that, it felt like life wasn't real, you know? I would tell these stories to this girl and all these like little like hunches and that shit with the electrician and then the shit with this guy and all these different little odd coincidences that were taking place to people
Right.
call God shot, whatever they could call them.
Uh-huh.
To me, they seem demonic now.
Right.
And this was all fucked up.
Right.
And at that moment in time, I just made 100% choice. Like, I'm going to die of a brain aneurysm. Didn't verbalize it, did nothing. I came home that night, went to bed. Next day, we went to this festival, Great South Bay Music Festival. We eat some mushrooms, and I'm like not somebody that should be eating mushrooms at this point in time.
No, anybody addicted to crack probably shouldn't be eating
just
mushrooms.
where I was mentally alone.
Yeah.
So I ended up having this crazy trip. One of my childhood friends was there. This kid that I was very tight with. We're not seeing eye to eye about things because he knows what's going on with me, but he's not cool with it. Like, he's not accepting it, And we ended up getting into an altercation that night. We ended up like fighting or whatever. And I like took
Was it
cocaine.
bad fight?
It was pretty bad. Like, verbally, it was a bad fight.
But physically, it wasn't that
shit.
bad.
No,
Right.
I was
You
like
said
hitting him with his own arms, like big brother, little brother.
You said some horrible shit.
Yeah, I
to
said
him.
some really terrible shit. That's what I'll really do. Lenny will tell you, like, it'd be better
Say
if
some
Will would
mean-
punch you
mean
than,
shit. Right.
fucking verbalize how
Right.
he's feeling, because
Right.
it's fucked up.
Right.
And so I fucking cut that kid at the limbs and leave there. And I come home and I like took a 1/4 ounce of cocaine from his buddy. And at that point, I was just like, I know exactly what I'm doing. The girl went to bed and I didn't have the shit to cook it. So I fucking go up to some house that I knew that this kid was selling drugs in that Fairfield complex. And I'm like, yeah, I got a 1/4 ounce of coke. I need a little bit of crack. Whatever you got. The kid gives me like 2 grams of crack. Come home. I smoke that. It's like 5 o'clock in the morning. And I'm just like, yo, it's on now. And now I got 60 grand in cash, more than 60 grand in cash in my room. I got stocks. I got credit. I got all these, outside resources. I got the apartment to chill in. But I got to get this girl out of here because she's a little angel in my head.
She's standing in the way of what you want
But
to do.
it's like that, crazy drug shit where like I need you to get away and I need you here at the same time. You're my salvation and the reason for my downfall. And I play her really bad. Ended up demising this thing where I'm allergic to antihistamines. And I knew like a couple days into this trip, into this run, that this girl's like gonna start raising flags. Like, what's up with this guy? You're not sleeping, you're not eating, you're fucking going crazy, you're losing your mind. She's doing whatever she's doing.
She's
with her
gonna
friends in the
find
day
out,
and coming home
right.
and going to bed. So eventually I'm like, let me jump the gun on this and I'm gonna pretend I got poison ivy and she's gonna go get me antihistamines and then I'll eventually be able to tell her I lost my mind because of the antihistamines. So
seems like a good plan.
it worked swimmingly. So I ended up devising that plan. That one morning, after taking these antihistamines for X amount of days, she's like, I think you need to go to the hospital. You're losing your mind. And I walk in the bathroom and just so happen to realize that I'm taking antihistamines. And I'm like, oh my God, hold on. I got to call my mom. And I call my mom and I'm like, Ma, you'll never believe what happened. I was losing my mind. Haley got me fucking antihistamines and da-da-da. And my mom's like, oh my God, like that poor girl. She doesn't know, da-da-da. You lost your mind. Oh my God, that's crazy.
Wait, so you were really allergic to antihistamines?
Yeah, and it causes neurological allergy where I lose my mind. Is exactly what happened. So it was the perfect getaway.
Had you
And I'm
ever
like,
experienced this
that
neurological?
happened to me the first time ever. That happened to me while I was in jail.
Wow.
Yeah,
And
they
you're,
were giving me antihistamines for some reason when I got there, Benadryl. And for 17 days, I completely lost my mind until one day they finally called the emergency contact, my mother, who told them the kid's allergic to antihistamines and he's having a neurological breakdown.
it would have been good for you to know that.
Yeah. Then, now I thought I used it as my power card. So
It
now
was,
I'm like,
yeah,
nice.
yeah.
I could get away with this.
Yeah.
I could put this down. I could live happily ever after. Just keep smoking crack. Now I'm up for like 26 days at this point. And
26 days.
yeah. And I wouldn't have never believed it, but this girl was the one that was like recording me.
And she
I
stayed
had
with
all
you.
these Ring cameras because I'm a fucking schizophrenic crackhead. And she'd put them in my living room. She'd put them out in my bedroom. She'd put them all over the house. And I was just,
I'm sure the
all
footage
over.
is incredible.
Oh, and unbelievable.
Have you seen it since?
No,
Good.
it's definitely gone.
Good.
I deleted it.
Good.
All that.
Very
that
good.
whole era of my life.
Very good.
So eventually,
How does she stay with you till when?
at this moment in time, it's 26 days deep, and I tell her, I got to tell her everything. She's catching hunches now of something's going on. And I come out of my room and I got the pipe in my pocket and I just got a pair of basketball shorts and I see her make eye contact with it. So I do a 180, go back in the room, come back out real quick, like threw it under the bed and came back out. And she was like, well, it was just in your pocket. And I was like, I got to tell her everything. So I show her, I had a ton of drugs at this point, but I'm like, I'll take out this one little baggie and this rock and this old pipe. And that's what I'll trade right now. Meanwhile, I got like a 1/4 ounce here, a 1/2 ounce over there, and some rocks there.
All coke and crack.
All over the place. Yeah, all crack at this point. Coke's doing nothing for me.
Right.
I need to go to.
And you're not shooting it though. You're just
No,
smoking.
I'm just smoking it. And she ends up thinking that it was actually all Lenny shit and that I was covering for Lenny.
But I'm sure you told her that.
No, she just
assumed
jumped that I was covering for Lenny.
Will
She saw Lenny on a camera
yeah.
one day while she was out. She saw Lenny at the house.
Right.
And she was like, "You're covering for Lenny, blah, blah, blah. Just tell me what's actually going on." Because I had all these traumatic situations. So she was putting that as like, "Oh, you're losing your mind because of that situation with your boss and the situation with one of your best friends and this and that and all these things." And I'm like, "No, this is really what's going on. You got to leave me." And I took all the cash out of my room, which at that point, I remember counting it out. I mean, like, I got 68,000 here. Here's 5,000. Book a fucking flight home. Get out of here. I'm burning this shit to the ground. Like, there's no.
You said, "I'm not stopping. You need to
I'm
go."
burning this to the ground. I'm going to ruin your life. Please get away from me. And she refused to. She was going to stick by my side, try to love me through it, I guess, whatever her side of it was. And I burnt it all to the ground. Lost all the money, lost the stocks, lost the credit, lost,
the crypto?
Yeah. I was stealing her car, getting into, once I lost all the money, I was fucking doing all these crazy things, these drug dealers, because I had so much money. Toward the end, I'm like, I got to come up with a plan. And I started to pretend I was a trust fund baby. And I get $500 every night. My grandfather invented the barcode, whatever.
Was that the lie your grandfather invented?
The craziest ones. I think I stole that one from somebody at some point. But there would be all these crazy, whatever would get me through in the moment,
Sure.
I'd be cracked out, just, talking whatever the fuck to get what I needed to get.
And when does she leave?
She ends up staying with me for about 9 months after that. And I was like,
Gone.
9 months is unbelievable for somebody to stand by me.
No, she's deeply codependent.
Granted, it's something.
She's deeply Al-Anonic or whatever.
Something.
And I'm sure she's listening. So big shout out to your ex-girlfriend. I'm just playing.
Hopefully not.
So hopefully she has a nice life now. Do you know if she has a nice life?
Great life.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God.
God is good, man.
Yes.
God is good.
So then what? Yeah, you're knocking on wood. So then what happens?
So those 9 months.
Once you're broke, how are you coasting on? How are you coasting?
Setting drug dealers up with the same scheme of like I have a trust fund, and I'm meeting drug dealers wherever I can. Same kind of thing. I'd pull up to a gas station in Quorum. I'd pull up to a gas station in Wyandanch, Jamaica, Queens. I'd be walking around barefoot. Whatever I had to do to meet a new guy to convince them.
But they would trust you.
And eventually down the line, they would be like, "Yo, this guy's good people." I'd have a car. I'd give him rides. I'd make sure this. Oh, you need to drop some shit off. You got to make a couple scores. Whatever you needed to do, I'm down with. Because I'm a slave to the drug. Mm-hmm. I'm down with it. Let's fucking make this happen. Plus, I had this crazy obsession with like, I'm more of a demon than you are to the drug dealers. Those were the people that I could attack and do whatever I needed to do with. I wasn't the guy that was going to go steal an old lady's purse or rob a Home Depot. I was like into that. That was my
the hustle.
Yeah. And I had a bunch of that going on, and that lasted me a couple months, of doing that.
Kind of just being like the slave to the drug dealer.
The slave to the drug dealer,
we'll
but also setting up these little schemes of like, I get mad money, let me get a front, never calling this guy back. Or just setting it up like.
Did they ever come looking for you?
Oh, yeah.
And?
There was a situation at a point in time where I was picking up a lot of shit off this dude, and I called him at a point, and I told him I need 2. Talking about I need 2 grams. But in his head, with the amount I was picking up,
it was 2 ounces.
It was 2 ounces. So I go to this park, middle of the day. It's fucking 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm sitting in the car, and I got the car in drive, and I'm just sitting there waiting, and I don't see the dude anywhere. And all of a sudden, a fucking dude with a sweatshirt pulls up, and he drops it in my lap, and I'm just like, oh, I could feel like,
the weight.
Wow, this is. So I look at him, and I'm just like, peace, and I book it, and I see him in my rear view, and I'm in my girl's car at this point. This is like back when she's still with me, and I see him in his rear view running to his car, and I'm like, oh, he'll never get me. And I see his trunk pop, and I'm like, oh, shit. So I fucking make the illegal left, and I'm driving through this wooded area, and there's just gunshots. Hits my girlfriend's car once or twice. I remember just getting away from this, flying up the road, and I'm passing 112, and right by the DMV right there, and I fly right through the light. I don't even look left or right. I'm like, if I get crushed right now, that's even better. So I get through that light, and I'm looking in my rear view, and he's booking it the same exact way. Boom, he gets smashed by somebody. Now I'm fucking taking off. I'm like, holy shit, this is fucking crazy.
Crazy.
And I pull off. I do whatever the fuck. I pull like around the other side on the expressway. I come from the back end of the DMV. I park the car and I'm fucking like sitting there deep in the parking lot, but like, you know, searching what's going on with this guy. Next thing I know, a bunch of fucking cops, and all of a sudden I see like a fucking gun, and this and that, and drugs, and whatever, bags, and the dude gets shipped off. This dude ends up being a guy that pretty high ranking or whatever the fuck he was doing, some blood crip, whatever the fuck he was doing. And at that point in time, at one instance I kept getting these calls on my phone, like, yo, bro, it's T, da-da-da. You got to come meet up with me. I just got out. I got something for you, da-da-da. And I'm thinking like, oh shit, there's some dude from the past. And I drove up to go meet T or whoever the fuck it was. And I would just get jumped by a fucking group of dudes that are
connected to that dude.
Yeah, whatever with that dude. And after that one, now I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Like, who knows this guy? You know, I don't know where the link is.
You have too much insanity going on out there.
Yeah, and I've done this kind of situation with so many people. Now I'm like, what the fuck? Eventually, that gentleman, the kid Ace I was talking about earlier, gets out of prison, and he calls me up. He's back around, da-da-da. So now I'm like, oh, thank God. What fucking godsend. My fucking safe, lifelong drug dealer just got out of prison. Now I'm safely could go meet him. He's got great shit. He's fucking.
But you don't have any money.
Prices doesn't matter. Now at this point, I got little connections all over the place with some of these people. He's got his connections with shit. He's very watched and very, you know, cautious about what he's doing. Now I take up a nice career driving mule and doing that style of life. So I'm doing that for X amount of months. And things are going great. I'm dropping shit off to my buddy in Bridgeport and here and there, and I'm doing all these things. Whatever I got to do to keep it going. I'd get it like $1,000 and fucking here's an ounce of crack or a half ounce of crack. I'm like, fucking perfect. Smoke that half ounce, take the $1,000, buy some more. By the time that's going, I'm back on the road doing what I got to do. So a couple, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5 months, whatever it was, probably like 4 months of this going by. And this is how I'm like making it happen. At that moment, I'm like absolute bottom of the barrel. My dad is like doing everything in his power to try to help me out. My car would break down, or I'd get into a hit and run. I'd call him and be like, "Oh, I'm gonna get it together. I swear to God, I need to just fix my car." And I'm just milking my dad for whatever the muck, you know, just
whatever he can do.
I'm not asking you for cash. Just fix my car.
And I'm sure he felt guilty for your childhood.
He was like 100%. Like his view. My mom's was like, no, he needs nothing. She had the AA perspective. Like he needs to be cut the fuck off and dragged through the trenches. And if he makes it out, he makes it out. My dad was like, no, he needs help, love, and this, you know. And I would just, you know, my dad being the enabler at that point, I would fucking play him like a fiddle. Help me out, get me back on my feet. I'm going to get it right this time. I learned my lesson. So X amount of months go by. I'm absolutely broke. Lenny ends up getting sober. I'm like, fucking hating Lenny's guts. I'm going to fucking kill this kid. Da-da-da. He's got what he's got going on. So I'm like, Lenny's a fucking devil. Like, I can't talk to that guy anymore. Meanwhile, he'd be trying to get me sober. And it's just like working the opposite. Seeing him do well at that moment made me just want to be even more of a demon. Because I was, you know, jealous or whatever the fuck. I had this major resentment against him at that time. And one night, I go to do what I always do. Leaving 11 o'clock at night, going to Bridgeport, and gonna do what I got to do. And I go to the spot to meet somebody, and that person gets, you know, they're like, spin the block. And where I'm from, spin the block means take a minute. They're not ready yet. So I'm spinning the block, and they call me up, and they're like, "You're all good?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm all good. Let's fucking ride." So then go to pick them up. They have all their shit. They get in the car. They pack the trunk. I fucking jump in my fucking passenger seat. I go to drive, and a car starts following me, and they're freaking out on me. They're like, "Yo, what the fuck? I thought you said we were good." I was like, "You told me to spin the fucking block. Like, what the fuck is this?" Now in my head, because I know what's going on in their lives, I've been around enough to like be like, "Yo, I hope this is a fucking cop." So I'm flying. And
because otherwise, if it's not a cop, it's somebody to kill them. I'm getting
fucking shot down. Right. Whatever the fuck. I have so much dirt going on, and I'm living in such fear and all this shit. I'm just thinking worst case scenario. And I start taking off down the road, going as fast as I possibly could. And I'm on Main Street in Bayshore. And my car is like completely broken down, crackhead mobile. And I just remember slamming on the gas and just saying a fucking prayer. And I grabbed this person's hand to my right, and they're like a thug. And I said, yo, God, if you're there, I've never asked you for anything before, because I've never once said a foxhole prayer in my life at this point. I said, if you're there, let these police lights turn on. And the person like judo chops me. I'm like, yo, what the fuck are you? And I'm like, bro, if I get fucking killed right now, First time like I actually gave a fuck about my life in a long time at that point. And right then my car starts going up in RPMs and down in speed. And they're like fucking whomping on me, like fucking drive. And I'm like, I can't, I'm fucking slamming on the gas. My car just broke down or some shit. And they think I'm fucking with them. And I'm like, yo, throw this shit. I came up with this whole way of what we got to do. And
But what does that mean, throw the shit?
like, get rid of the evidence.
Right,
open the bag and fucking let it spray.
Right.
Like, that's a fucking misdemeanor.
Right.
Like, I'm not taking these drugs because I don't even know what's in my car. That's how I'm living. There's been times I didn't, there's been many times I drove things that like I've heard about and it didn't matter. If it got from plan A to plan B, at this point, I'm the best guy to ever do this you've ever seen. I'm fucking.
It's like a movie.
Don Juan got a meet. Yeah, I got this. Yeah. I'm a fucking pro transporter. I'm Jason Statham.
Yeah.
And, that's what I think in my head. And now it's all coming to,
The end.
halt. So I fly down this block, and they're like, yo, what the fuck? And I knew that it was a dead-end block right over to the water. And in my head, I'm like, throw that shit in the fucking water, dude. And the fucking person jumps out my car. I'd stay in the car because I'm like, I'll go down with the ship. You go do what you got to do. I'm in this fucking, pull into this fucking driveway, and I remember there was a party going on, and I just hit the car to the right. And I was just like, and all these people are just like on the deck, like, oh, what the fuck? Person runs out. I'm sitting there. Cops come. 7 gajillion fucking cops. They do the whole fucking hands up, one hand on your head, other hand on your head, that whole fucking thing on your knees, to your stomach, hands behind your back, legs up, fucking come up. They fucking hog tie me. They grab me. They throw me in a fucking paddy wagon. This person gets fucking caught up in like 4.5 minutes. And I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like, where are your running legs at? And they have this bag. And I'm like, oh my fucking God, here we go. So now I get brought into the bottom of CI. And I'm like, yo, it is what it is. In my head, I'm like, I'm going to spend the rest of my life in prison. This is where my actions have got me. It is what it is. Like, I have a choice now. Either thug it out or be a bitch. Like, that's what I got. So I'm going to choose to thug it out. Weighing 106 pounds. And, crazy.
What would being a bitch in that situation look like?
Just like saying whatever I needed to say, like opening my mouth, period.
I think I would have definitely been a bitch. But tell me, so what?
Yeah, not even no judgment on anybody, but that's where my head was at. Is like, that's how crazy I was. Is like, yo, I'll spend the rest of my life in prison for this. That's how crazy I was.
So what happened?
Because in my head, it was better for everybody in my life because I had no solution. It's better for everybody in my life if I'm locked in a cage.
If you pay the
and
price.
you could come visit me and talk to me on the phone, than for me to live on free will anymore.
Because maybe you'll get chicken sandwiches and work at the Montauk Lighthouse.
Basically,
you know that life. You know
my
that
mom
life.
could sleep at night knowing that her son is not stealing her car and doing this and all these crazy things.
And dude, in the whole story, that's kind of when you were happiest.
Yeah.
In this story, when you were fucking working that crew, smoking Black and Milds, eating egg sandwiches, being respected.
That was like the only
that was
piece of normal life.
It was a good moment. So
yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. Montauk Lighthouse, life was good.
Yeah.
And so that happens, and I'm sitting down there, and eventually they call me, they bring me into the investigation room, and I'm sitting there with the 2 detectives, and they're like, I don't even think we got to open this up. Do you have anything to say? And I'm just sitting there, and they just dropped this bag down. And the only thing that came out of my mouth was, oh, shit, because like I heard the thump. And then I get pushed over the charges, and it's just like A, B, B, B. And I was just like, oh, my God. And they were like, you got 5 decades worth of charges, blah, blah, blah. You're going to be that, blah, blah. And I can't even think straight. I'm just like, my ears are just ringing. And I'm like, I would do anything to just not be in there. Like, how did this just happen? How did this just happen? And the next morning, I'm on the bus. I get to fucking the bottom of CI. And
CI is Central Islip.
yeah. and I'm in the bottom of the courthouse waiting to go see a judge. And the person that I got arrested with is actually a female, and they're across the way from me. And I was sitting there, and I'm like this, and I'm like, dear God, if you're there, like, I'm scared straight. I learned my lesson. I will never do this again. Like, I don't know what to do right now. I'm so sorry. Like, please give me a second shot.
Foxhole prayer number 2.
Yep. And I go upstairs to see the judge, and I've never been ROR'd in my life. But New York State's got bail reform, and my prayers just got answered. I get out. I go back downstairs. I just got to throw this ankle bracelet on, and I'm getting out. They give me a ride back to the precinct. They gave me the keys to my car. They jumped my car because apparently it was like a fucking battery or alternate, whatever the fuck happened to my car. They fixed. Now I got my car back. They fixed it. I could get home. Oh my fucking God. This is crazy. God, I cannot believe you just did this for me. And I'm driving, and all of a sudden I'm like, fuck it. And I make a right, and I go back to the same spot I left the night before to get what I need to get to continue. 17 more days go by. I picked up like 2 more petty, possession in the 7th, whatever the fuck. These little charges.
With the ankle on it.
With the ankle monitor. And like at this point in time, the cops are like, they're not even arresting. And I knew how it worked. Like they're just like, this is just another ticket for you, bro. Enjoy it. Go out there and get more, because that's how it's working at this point. My life is so fucked. They're like, we're not going to waste our time booking this guy. We'll just give him a ticket and let him continue on his business. He's fucked. And I have a lawyer that's, in the same fellowship that I am. And he's on the phone with me one day, and he's like, you should go up to this place, St. Christopher's. I think it'd be very good for you.
And why didn't you get time, though? Why didn't they give you a shit ton of time?
At this moment in time, I'm released on my own recognizance, and I have the opportunity to fight the case.
Okay.
Because New York State, the bail reform, they cannot keep me in jail.
And the lawyer's sober, and he's like, I think things could be better if you're sober. So you go to St. Christopher's.
And he tells me it's exactly where I'm at, and he has a story that kind of corresponds to this. We have pretty similar stories. So he tries to like...
And Christian went to St. Christopher's, right? I think so.
I'm not sure. I think very briefly.
Okay.
I think very briefly.
Okay.
So I'm like, no, I'm not doing St. Chris. I don't need all that. They're talking Holy Mountain, God, all these things. And I'm like, ugh. Because I only needed God in those 2 brief moments, and now I'm good on God again. And I know what I got to do, and I just can't hear a fucking thing anybody's telling me. So what happens is eventually I go into a 28-day LICR out here, and I go in there. And
LICR?
Yeah. I pour my heart and soul.
Dylan Glasso.
Yeah. Yeah, the director.
Yeah. He's a sweet guy.
Yeah, very nice guy.
Yeah, he took a couple of our people in, and they sponsored a DopeyCon. They were one of the sponsors.
Yeah. Oh, it's fantastic.
Beautiful
facility.
spot.
Yeah, fantastic facility. So I go in there, I pour my heart and soul. I think I got to do everything I got to do. I'm raising my hand at every meeting. What do I got to do when I get out of here? Sponsor home group commitment. Okay, no problem. Got it. Within 21 days, I like manipulate my way out of there because of a situation.
Do you want to be sober at that point, or you're just like, what am I? How do I get through this?
I was just full ego, on fire. Honestly, like I didn't even know what to think about life because I was like, I don't know if I'm going to prison. I don't know. It was just like this, like weird, like, do I own this prison shit and just run with it and just see where that takes me and get my face tattooed and become fucking whatever gang will take me in? I'll just become that, or do I try to get my life together because I have a shot at life? Like I didn't even know which way to go. That's really where I was at, and anybody that just came up with something, I was kind of just following aimlessly, but while in that facility. And something that happened with the guy that was running my group personally, where I just manipulated this situation until I'm getting no help here. I know therapy. I've been in therapy my whole life. This guy's done nothing. Look at the proof. It's right here. We got into this crazy fight, and somehow I get released after 21 days. And they let me go with a completion and the whole 9. I leave there, and now I'm like spitefully going to go to meetings. And I choose the fellowship, and I get the spot. I go to a meeting.
But you don't fuck it up when you leave.
Somebody tells me to get a sponsor. So
you don't
fuck
it up,
sponsor that they suggested me. The guy Rob that I was talking about before.
Oh, that
way in the past.
What's his face?
Richie's father.
Richie's dad.
Yep. Who's been like family to me my whole life.
And Richie's gone.
Richie's been dead.
And I'm sure you were this ray of hope for his dad.
Yeah.
So you get
He
out
wrote
of that.
me off, but like at the same time was like always, extending the hand.
But you
and,
get
but
a-
like
you get out of
in that recovered alcoholic addict way. You know what I'm saying?
I'm here when you're ready.
Yeah.
But you get out of LICR, it's like the first time you don't fuck it up.
For about 2 weeks.
Okay.
And after 2 weeks, back into the same shit, wrecking my life, fucking absolute shit wreck. I end up canceling my insurance because I was like, I'm not going back to any program, period. I canceled my own insurance because I was like, now you can't accept me.
Because you're ready to go down. You're like done.
I'm ready. I literally just wanted to die. That's all I wanted to do was die. But I was so mad at my mom because if she would just write it off, sign your initial at the end, initial and sign this, and I could just
Permission
kill
to
myself.
die, right.
And I'm fucking the happiest guy on the planet. That's the delusion, though. God knows if she was like, go do it, I would have been like, oh, why don't you love me? And that's where I was at. And after another, 20 days of being awake, my mom is fighting hand and tooth for me to get insurance again, get back on insurance. And I'm like trying to do it too, because I'm like teetering this line back and forth of like, I'm hopeless, I want it. I'm hopeless, I want it. And eventually, after fighting with insurance and smoking crack and being crazy for 3 weeks, I one day was arguing with my mom back and forth, and she's like, just check your email. And I'm like, 2 weeks of fighting these insurance companies. Like, we'll let you know in 5 days, 5 days. And I'm like, Mom, it's not going to fucking be there. We're in this crazy fight. And I opened up my email to prove the point that it's not going to be there, and I got accepted on insurance. And I already had a bed date at St. Chris, the whole line. They told me they're saving me one because I was calling St. Chris nonstop. Take me and the insurance will clear. Take me and the insurance will clear. Da, 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 da. And at that moment in time, it was like, okay, you're going to St. Chris. And I'm like, perfect. I'm going to have one more powwow, and that'll be it.
Powwow being crack smoking situation.
Crack, yeah. Yes. So that night I, set that up. I do my thing. The guy Rob, that at Richie's father, I was set to pick me up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Accidentally ordered too much crack the night before. I didn't get out of my house until about 9 o'clock, out of my closet until then. Come bag of fucking dirty laundry, and that's it. No idea what I'm doing. Get in the back of his car. He drives me up there and, takes off the day work. Does everything in his possibility to get me up. Make sure I get up there. He drops me off up there, and I go in, and I'm these people that are up there. They don't take people off the street. It's not a common thing. But like I was calling them around the clock, telling them like, yo, I'm gonna die, I need help. Gonna die, I need help. Gonna die, I need help. Like, what do I got to do?
And meanwhile, you're not sure that you even want to do it.
Yeah.
You're just like, I got to do something.
Yeah. So I get up there, and first thing they have me do is like the whole psych eval thing. And I was like, all I got to do right now, like I had no idea what to do, but now I'm here. I'm like, I'm going to just get honest because that's all I know how to do. Everybody in my life that like shouldn't know everything about me knows everything about me. Like I'm an absolute open book at that point because I didn't know what to do to get any willingness to want to get sober, any hope, any honesty. Like I had no idea what I was doing. I was just shooting in the dark.
Well, there's no more room to lie.
Yeah.
You had done everything you could do.
Basically,
and there's nothing else to say.
I was like taking pride in it almost, in like the insanity of like, this is how fucking derailed I am.
But you also came from a place where people were derailed.
Yeah.
It's like, it wasn't like you were not the only one.
Yeah.
And at that point, you couldn't hide behind a job or a situation or a person.
And I was, for a long time, I was playing like the card of like, this guy is the reason this happened. It's not my fault,
Right. And then all those
I'm
people.
not actually an alcoholic. This guy just put me onto a drug that is engineered to be like, that's the shit that would go through my head. Or like, oh, I just did one too many this time and I need to chill out.
Totally.
But at this moment in time, I'm like, all right, I'm going to give this a shot. I cycled through a couple meetings, I was kind of open to AA. And while up there, I got honest with the fucking psych eval. And I'm in St. Chris. And all of a sudden, like, I got like a fucking security guard sleeping outside my door. Because that's how fucking low ranking I was on my psych eval. Told him I'm going to hang myself in the chapel. Is long story short. That's where I was at. And I was like, but if you give me a couple days of sleep, I'll be a fucking completely different guy.
Probably not want to be hanging myself.
But they don't really. They're like, all right, well, we just met you, and that's
We'll take your belt.
Bold fucking statement to go with there, dude.
Take your shoelaces.
Yeah, exactly.
It's over.
And thank God they did. Eventually, what had happened was a couple nights into it, I was like not understanding like do these people not get me? Like I said what I said, but I didn't mean it. And the clinical director up there would always say, like, he was on, the psychological end. And he would say, your best thinking is what got you here. And I'm in a talk with the security guard one night. And because I'm like absolutely sleep. I could not sleep for the life of me when I got there. And straight insomnia. And he's the only person I could talk to. So I'm talking to the security guard one night and I'm like, you don't really need to be here, dude. Like, I'm not going to. And he looks at me and he's like, dude, do you realize like where you're at right now? And I was like, what are you talking? Like, we're just chilling, bro. And I just have like this stupid shit eating, like not realizing my reality. He's like, you got me out here.
He says, do you realize what's really happening?
Yeah. Basically the reality of my situation. And I looked at him. I don't even remember what I said back, but I could like tell that the look on my face said it all. Of like, I have no idea what my like
the depths were.
Yeah, where my life is at that moment. And kind of broke it down to me like, yo, I'm sleeping out of here because you said you were going to hang yourself in a chapel in this place that's trying to help you, that you called for weeks begging to get into to try to get your life together. And you're up here and you're like completely oblivious that like you're fucking doing, you're on a spectrum, not to compare, but basically worse than everybody else that's in here right now. Everybody else in here is sleeping peacefully without a security guard.
It's like the worst thing that anyone could say at the same time.
But it just punched me in the face with a little bit of truth for the first time in a long time. Of like, damn, I'm the master of my own domain here. I'm the one that created this whole fucking situation. This is not to do with anybody in my life. Any dad that introduced me to something, anything. I put myself exactly where I am right now. And it internalized. And in that moment, I was like, yo, I'm going to take this shit serious. So I started actually like attending the groups and becoming a participant, signing up for the spiritual counseling and signing up for choir and all these random things, spiritual direction and, codependency groups and grief and this and whatever they offered, I was at. And attending, AA at night and then attending this big book study, which was like a voluntary thing at night, past that at 10 o'clock at night. So my whole entire day from waking up to sleeping was like consumed in this shit. And I started to like really start to analyze. I started to get honest with a counselor, talk to him about everything. And by the grace of God, the counselor that I was given was a very similar person to me. We had so many things in common. He would bring things to me to be like, dude, I've, basically like evidence of like, I've been exactly where you're at.
Basically evidence that there's the reason to have hope.
Basically. Exactly. And that somebody else has been where I am. Because like I was saying before, I was like this terminally unique, nobody gets it guy. And
I think that's a common thing when somebody finally feels like they see somebody in their shoes. It's like, okay, maybe I can give this a chance.
Yeah. But my thing was like, I would go to these meetings and I'd see somebody with 5 years and been like, bro, you got a haircut, you got shoes on right now, you got no hole in your shirt, you got a car. Like, you've never been where I've been. I couldn't fathom what recovery does.
Right.
I needed to see you day one and then where you are.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying this guy was bringing me like evidence of like, this is where I
right.
Look at my missing tooth over. This is how
it's funny though, because like eventually it's the desperation.
Yeah.
That's the ticket more than the evidence.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Eventually
he was meeting me where I was at.
Yeah,
I think that's the best way. You know what I mean?
Totally.
I needed like these stupid needs.
And he got it.
And he was like understanding of that and was like, yo, you're up here. Because I came up there thinking like, oh, I'm doing 75 days and I'm out.
Right.
That's the minimum time. And, it changed. I got mandated the second I got there. And now it was like a completely different style program. This was not LICR. This was St. Christopher's Inn, which is like bottom of the barrel guys are going to, but it's like reform style.
Like therapeutic community.
College shirt. Yeah. You got to be quiet online. You got to pray. You got to clean up after yourself. You make food. You have a job. All these things. I started off being like a prep chef dishwasher in the kitchen. And, I started to really thrive because I like to work. I like to have purpose. I'm doing prep meals and I'm doing, mopping the floors and I'm doing the dishwashing. Yeah. now I'm taking this shit serious and I'm starting to grow within the community. You know, I used to always laugh at the guys that would become like mayor or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, you're fucking
Cop. Yeah.
yeah, you fucking narc.
Yeah,
You know, I know
totally.
what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, and inside of there, I ended up becoming like a co-chair and really taking this as serious as I could. Meanwhile, while this is going on, I'm up in upstate New York, but they're also driving me to my court dates every 2 weeks. The judge mandated me to be at every court date. So they're driving me 3 hours to the court and 3 hours back. And they gave me a suit to wear and they gave me all these things and they let me take a shower. In non-showering hours, they started breaking rules for me because they were like, yo, we want to see you do this and you're doing this.
You're doing
you know
the
what
work.
I mean? I started seeing, you know, the effects of it. I was on the phone with my mom talking to her.
She had
ended up-
gotten sober at that
She
point.
was already sober for a period of time, but she's like, I just got a sponsor again, da-da-da. Like, I'm going to start redoing this. And all
and
these
like whatever
things.
you couldn't do with Mike, maybe you could do with your mother. It's
Basically, type deal. And it was just like a beautiful thing. I started seeing like those little changes, you know, a couple months into this. Spent the holidays and all that go by. And eventually it's March. And I go to court. And I got this whole plan. I'm doing this sober house up there. I'm going to be in the facility for 1 year. Then from the facility into this sober house for 1 year. And then I'll be, a citizen after this 2-year plan. And the court ends up giving me this plea deal. I take the plea deal. It's like an unbelievable deal. My lawyer's like, you're an idiot if you don't take this. So I take it. And I go, he's like, call me as soon as you get back up there. So I'm like, okay, cool. So now I'm pled out of court. Everything's good. That's washed. I'm no longer going to prison. All
Incredible.
these beautiful gifts. And my lawyer tells me when I call him up there on the phone that I am now allowed to go home, but he didn't want to tell me there, so I didn't make a snap decision. And I'm like, oh, no way. I'm not going to go leave. And in my head, my fucking bags are packed.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I'm calling my dad. He'll take me home.
Yeah.
I'm not even calling mom. We're going to surprise her. Because I know my mom would have been like, no. And if I told my dad, oh, I'm going to surprise mom.
Right.
you
He'll
know,
come get you.
That little kid came back, you know?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I do. My dad comes, picks me up. I come home. My mom's like, what the fuck? And I'm like, no, but I know what I got to do. And I'm going to go to Center Reach and I'm going to do all the things. And, exactly what they say. Knowing what I got to do is the worst thing I could know how to do. And I came down. I started off on fire and I'm going to do all these things. And I did some of them. And then I stopped and I was just working and getting it figured out and all this shit. And a couple months go by. And now it's May, and it's Mother's Day. And the only idea on my head that morning was like, I'm going to make this Mother's Day rocking for my mom. And I go to this, I'm on my way to CVS. I call, I get a flower order. I make another call, I get a dinner reservation. And I pop up at the CVS, and I get the card, and I'm waiting online. And I bump into this girl that I used to know. And we're just chopping it up online. And telling her like where it's been at. You look so healthy, da da da. Yeah, I'm sober, da da da. Like, all this crazy shit happened. Giving her the full scoop. She's like, yo, come over to my car. And I'm like, all right, cool. And I'm like, nice. I'll get a number. Like, fucking gray skies are clearing up. She's like, someone just left this in my car. And she pulls out this fucking Newport pack with like a pipe and whatever. And boom, just like that, it's fucking 3 days later. And I got a million missed phone calls. I missed Mother's Day. Fucking just like heartbreaking message after heartbreaking message from my mom and my little sister.
That girl's
and my
the
dad.
worst.
And yo, just as sick as I am.
You tell you're sober.
Just
She's like
as sick as I am.
She takes you to the fucking
Just as
pipe.
sick as I am.
Yeah.
I took all her shit and I fucking went about my business. I didn't want to hang out with her. That was never the case, And I just wanted what she had. But in that moment, I was able to internalize like, wow, because I read the big book enough times to like remember like that suddenly, Suddenly I
The
found
Milky and
myself.
was
Exactly.
the whiskey and milk.
But this was my, that Newport
Newport and crack.
fucking crack
Yeah,
was my
for
whiskey
sure.
and milk.
For sure.
And I was just like appalled and I had no idea what to do. And I was just right back to that insanity. And I remember like calling that person I took all those charges for and they gave me a fucking, large sum of, my favorite substance on this planet. Got a huge fucking bag of crack, a pipe, and I got a fucking car to sit in while it's raining. And I'm sitting there and I'm just so miserable, ready to die again. And just feeling so terrible about where my life is. And knowing, like, I brought myself right back here. That time away in that facility gave me like that little bit of sanity back. And I didn't know what to do. And then I start getting some phone calls from the guys that are in the rooms back and forth. And I'm, you know, all kinds of crazy shit coming out of my mouth, telling them where I was at, that I relapsed and da-da-da. And my one buddy Jordan sat on the phone with me and he was like, yo, I do believe in you. He was like the only person to say that to me. And I was like, oh, I needed that. I don't even know how else to say it, but I needed that in that moment. Because like I was like, I should just stick a fucking shotgun in my mouth. And next thing I know, I'm sitting there and I have no idea what to do. And I'm asking God for direction. And, you know, in my brain, it was instantly upon that little prayer, another foxhole prayer, third one, that I get a phone call. But whatever amount of time goes by, I get another phone call and it's my sponsor, who's not the guy to be making phone calls to me. You know, he's hard knocks. And I answer the phone and he's like, oh, I just spoke to Derek, who was like my running buddy the whole time I was at St. Chris. I'm like, oh my God, is he all right? Da-da-da. Is he dead? And he's like, nah, he's fucking doing great. He stuck to that plan you guys were supposed to stick to. He's like, he asked how you were doing. And I was like, oh, what'd you tell him? He said, I said, terrible. I was like, how'd you know? And he laughed. And I was like, yo, I actually just relapsed. And he said, no shit. Click. And I was like, this motherfucker. So I call him back and he's like, dude, if you're calling me to tell me like what you're going to do and all, he's like, save your fucking breath. And it just fucking punched, like this was 10 times harder of a fucking punch in the throat than the one the security guard gave me. And I was like, I don't know what to do. And he said, well, that's fucking good. I'm like, dude, what do I do right now? And he's like, I want you to go to a sober. And immediately I was like, sober house. I'm not doing this shit, you know? And I was just like, this is my own thinking. Like that dawned on me. Like Kevin Douglas, the guy in that facility, was telling me, you know, that's my own thinking. I was like, all right, sober house, what else? He's like, 11:15 a.m. group I want you to go to because you put work ahead of everything in your life. And I'm like, ugh. You know, that last thing I want to do. Okay, what else? He's like, I want you at a meeting every single night. Whatever you can do with the time in between that, you do the time between that. Call me every day. Call multiple alcoholics. I'm going to send you a couple guys, blah, blah, blah. You're going to get a home group commitment. You're going to be greeting, shaking hands. And then I want to see you at every other fucking meeting there is on Long Island. And, you know, I took those simple suggestions in the beginning, which seemed like the worst idea on the planet because I need to get some money. I'm dead broke. I'm starving. And, you know, I started doing it. I got into the sober house. And I remember that first day, I actually, full honesty, I had to cheat to get into the sober house. And I got
cheat
into
how?
there. I had to get fake urine to pass that P test. Because I knew at that point in time, like if I stay out another night, it's that quick for me. That next night I could pick up again. And then now I'm gone for another 2 weeks.
But instead you get in with the fake urine.
I got in with the fake urine.
And you start doing what your sponsor told you to do.
And I did everything he told me to do. I got into that house. You know, I went to a meeting the night before, not showered, up for fucking multiple days, shared, you know, try to keep it brief because I didn't want to be one of those guys that are all fucking whacked. But I told them flat out where it was at, where I was at, you know, and they met me with open arms, you know. I hate that phrase when people say it. Probably because I've been through it and I'm a stubborn junkie. But
we all hate all that shit.
You know, that like love me till I love myself. Like I'm still working on that kind of stuff. 18 months into this, you know, I'm still working on a lot of that.
But it's
just the beauty of like I'm doing the whatever work I can on that shit.
Even just gift of desperation.
Yeah.
You told this story and there were all these places where it could have been like,
yeah.
And then I made it, you know, or you're dead,
yeah.
You know, but I'm waiting for and then I made it, and then I made it, and then I made it. And it's like, it takes what it takes. And it's like, if we could hand that out to people, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
But instead it only happens when it can happen, and it doesn't have to stick, but it's sticking, you know? So how do you feel telling a very crazy, fucked up story? Lenny on the beach is interesting to me, though, because I was there on the beach first day he's there, and he's a disaster.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't look like Lenny. He's total skin and bones, junked out, hair up to here. Like, junky, like you don't think is ever going to get out of
it.
Yeah. No, and here he is.
And I was that exact same. Like in my head, I like to be like, dude, but I was 10 times worse than that.
Right.
You know?
Well, you probably were.
Maybe.
But it's funny because I was talking to Evan.
I was there with Lenny fucking giving used socks to dealers.
Right. Evan goes to me. He goes, yeah, Will's going to be good. He was a bad kid. So I appreciate you, Will.
No, I appreciate you.
This is cool, right? You have fun? This is fun?
This
You
was
feel
cool.
all right?
This is definitely cool.
All right. I gotta take care of this kid. So thank you very, very
Thank
much
you.
for coming here. And you got to come back though.
I will.
And you're fucking in program hardcore now.
Yeah.
You go, how often do you go?
Except for the last 2 weeks, I got a little
What do you mean?
derailed with life.
What do you mean? What happened the last 2 weeks?
The last 2 weeks.
Thanksgiving?
I thought I had a godsend moment with a intimate partner.
Well, that's fine. You should, but what, that didn't work out. So now you're coming back to meetings?
That didn't work out, so I realized that my priorities. I was going to meetings still, but not like I was at a meeting every single night of my life the past almost 18 months. And this past time, I like skipped my home group twice. I was
That's
going to
all right.
meetings
No,
other than
that's
that.
all right. That's all right.
I'm still in like that. Either we're doing amazing or we're over here. Yeah.
No, but it's like balance is the key.
Yeah.
But dude, thank you, Will. That was awesome.
Thank you so much. Much appreciated.